We understand that accidents happen when you least expect it. Lafe's has a special fast-track repair program for those who need it fixed fast. Call us for details and restrictions. Now, if you're in an accident, call us before you contact your insurer. Let our experts set up your collision claim to ensure you get all you're entitled to. Adjusters are trained to deny, we're trained to defend. Loaners deduct assist, and of course, we pick up and deliver anywhere in the Northwest. Lafe's, the finest in collision repair.
NFL Total Access, the podcast, is what happens when NFL analysts say everything they wanted to say on TV.
And he's just kind of wasting away out there.
But we're too polite to actually say it.
I miss doing that.
You can find out what happened on NFL fields just about anywhere. But on Total Access, you find out why.
You gotta want more, man.
So listen now to NFL Total Access, the podcast.
Let's go!
On the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hapo Community Credit Union makes switching easy and worth it. Go to HapoQuickSwitch.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Taylor Swift on connecting to old feelings when performing her songs.
I think that for the sake of the fact that I know people.
Here's what you need to know. From the Goldberg Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
All right, what's going on, my friends? Now 3 o'clock. Your Trailblazers in action tonight to start a busy week with 4 games. They're in L.A. to meet the Clippers. Tip-off at 7:30. Game day at 6. The Clips right now favored by 13.5. From the NFL, Justin Herbert expected to miss Thursday Night Football due to a fractured right index finger suffered in yesterday's loss to the Broncos. Chargers will meet the Raiders Thursday in Las Vegas. Vikings hopeful to get Justin Jefferson back in the lineup. Minnesota at 7-6 will play at 7-6 Cincinnati Saturday morning at 10 on NFL Network. Kenny Pickett still sidelined. Mitch Trubisky will make another start this weekend when the Steelers meet the Colts. Monday Night Football doubleheader at 5:15. On ESPN, Titans at Dolphins, Miami favored by 14. On ABC, Packers at the Giants, Green Bay favored by 6. From baseball, after signing Shohei Ohtani to a $700 million deal, the LA Dodgers traded reliever Victor Gonzalez and infielder Corbett Vivas to the New York Yankees for shortstop prospect Trey Sweeney to open a roster spot for Ohtani. Rip City Drive with Dwight Chad's coming up right now.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio.
where they say, well, it didn't affect the play, so we won't call it. It didn't really impact what happened, so we won't call it. You see it on travelings, you see it on carrying the ball in basketball, and you see it on holding in football, where everybody says there's holding on every play, but they don't call it. Well, for me, there's too many penalties in football right now anyway, so if we can stop calling penalties, that would be great. And honestly, he was offside. There's no way they can get around that.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is, Chad, I understand how angry they are because it's a very discretionary penalty. Called sometimes, not all the time.
Well, after the game, Patrick Mahomes very upset.
To happen on a flag change the outcome of a game in that moment. I mean, I've played 7 years, never had offensive offsides called. I mean, that's elementary school. We talk about. I mean, you point to the ref, do all that different type of stuff, and it doesn't get called. And if it does, they warn you, and there was no warning throughout the entire game. And then you wait till there's a minute left in the game to make a call like that. It's tough, man. I mean, it's lost for words, man. It's tough because regardless if we win or lose, man, just for it to end with another game and we're talking about the refs, man, it's just not what we want for the NFL and for football.
He didn't mention in that rambling that his receiver was indeed offsides. Here's Andy Reid's frustration with the officials, Godfather.
I never use any of this as excuses, but normally I get a warning before something like that happens in a big game. A bit embarrassing in the National Football League for that to take place.
Well, I think the Chiefs were the ones embarrassed.
Yeah.
That's where the embarrassment fell.
Here's where I see it. The problem is that with the Chiefs, the big issue with them all year has been their young receiving core.
Mm-hmm.
Drop passes at key points of games, guys being out of position, Patrick Mahomes having to work through a lot of frustration, dealing with the young receiving core. And yet, in a big moment, in a big game against Buffalo, once again, it was a young receiving core that was costing them. This is nothing new for Kansas City this year.
Yeah.
It's been a recurring theme for them, and I can understand why Mahomes is losing his mind because he has to do everything out there, and he's dealing with guys that don't know where they need to be because they're young.
Yeah, it wasn't just that play either in this game. I mean, he finally gets a young receiver to catch the ball, and he runs a few yards downfield and fumbles, which is even worse than dropping it in the first place. So that frustration has been there, and it's the reason the Chiefs aren't where people expected them to be, and that's at the top of the AFC.
Yeah, they're not good enough to overcome those type of issues, whether it's mistakes, turnovers, or now the officials. They're still a really good team, but their margin for error is not what it used to be because they don't have the explosiveness to where they can get down and be able to bounce back with a couple of quick scores. Different team this year.
And, Chad, I cannot get over my amazement that the Broncos are breathing down their necks.
I love that.
That's crazy.
If someone would have told me when the Broncos were sitting there dead at 1-5 that here we are now towards the end of the season as we open up the final quarter, they're a game back in the division, it's pretty wild. It's wild. More from Patrick Mahomes. Hey, Godfather, he just wants the refs to let him play.
The thing is, I'd rather let us play, man. Like, let us play the game. And then whatever happens, happens. Like, the whole throwing the flag and deciding the game one or another, that's what hurts me. That's why, like, last week I didn't say anything because it's letting us play, man. Let us go out there and win the game. And I said I'd rather them let us play and go out there and see who wins. I mean, that's what you want as a competitor is you practice all week to go out there and try to win. And you want it to be about your team and that team and see what happens. You never want it to be – you don't want to be talking about this stuff after the game. That's it, man. I'm not worried about if there was a flag on the next player or whatever, like not a flag. I want to go out there and play and then see what happens at the end, see what the score is, and then we can live with the results. I was kind of just scrambling left, and I knew I couldn't throw it with my right hand, and I knew we needed the. And he got the first down and made it. To this team and like how much heart and determination that we have, the running backs, the receivers, everybody just kept fighting and we came out with the win.
That's the biggest takeaway I have from all that. I can't believe he sounds the way he does.
The clip you played before that, it seems to me that he's advocating for no referees at all.
Just let us play.
Yeah, let's just go out in the park somewhere and play in a parking lot.
He wasn't done. He went after, he wanted to talk about how great the play was, too.
It's a legendary moment, man. I mean, nothing that's not taught something that only a couple people in this world would even think about doing. For him to make that play in that moment, making the catch, making a couple dudes miss, and throwing the ball across the field to another guy and scoring a touchdown in that moment, I hope they still show it whenever he goes into the Hall of Fame, because that's a legendary moment that we didn't get to really witness.
Gosh.
What these guys never understand is he decides the game whether he calls it or not. If he didn't call that, which was an obvious offside, he would have been deciding the game the other way.
He would have been robbing the Bills.
Yeah.
And you can make an argument their coach is so dumb they deserve to be robbed.
Yeah.
But it's like, come on.
The player's really dumb, Chad.
Yeah.
That's a
Tony?
dumb player. How could you, with that little time left in the game?
He was lined up with the Bills.
He was way over. I mean, how can you do that?
It's
craziness.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That whole thing, the whole scene was ridiculous. But as a Bronco fan, I love it. Screw him.
Well, I've never seen Mahomes like that. That was craziness.
Yeah. But you made a good point. You can't do it to Tony. He probably wanted to do that to Tony.
Exactly.
But you don't want to lose Tony, so you got to go, okay.
Yeah, you can't do that to a teammate.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. When we come back, we have two special guests in studio to celebrate Christmas, and we're going to do it the best way possible. So don't go anywhere. You got the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad.
It's Rip City Drive on 620 Rip City Radio. Brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
That right there is my man Michael Allen Harrison, who is back in studio again as we get ready for Christmas at the old church. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. I thought I'd play a little Charlie Brown theme there. That great tune by Vince Guaraldi called "Christmas Time Is Here." It's so iconic.
Absolutely.
Well, first off, you know how much I care about you and love you, so thank you for coming by.
Right back at you, buddy.
And when you were reaching out to me today and we were confirming, you said, hey, I'm going to bring a special guest. I'm like, do it! And who do we have? Someone who I've seen perform in your shows many a times. And
well, we have one of the greatest talents ever to come out of this area. I met her after she had done American Idol, and then she and I were judges in a local Oregon Idol contest, and we were judges sitting there together, and I remember seeing her on the national show, and we just kind of hit it off and started talking, and I said, hey, how'd you like to be in my Christmas show? And then she's been in the show for 11 years now, so we have Haley Johnson with us today.
Hello.
that's terrific, Haley. Thanks for coming by. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
You've been busy working. Where you been? Where's your journey taking you of late?
Oh, this has been one of the craziest years of my life. I'm playing a band called Big Wild alongside my personal project, and we did a big tour in the spring, played a bunch of festivals, and I've been keeping busy with my own project too. Just got back from Europe, did a month in the UK and Germany. So
That's
it's been
great.
crazy, but a lot of fun. I'm glad to be working.
This is what the younglings do. I hang out
We
at
work
home
too
now.
hard.
I stay around in the
You've heard
Northwest.
that. I think you've heard the
I
right to
did
stay
my
home.
time.
Yeah.
But as you've pointed out before in the past, like you love the fact that you get a chance to put on the Christmas show every year, do Christmas at the old church, but to work with all these people, it's like a family to you. So, 11 years with Haley, you've had a chance to see her continue to grow and develop as an artist. That's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. And, and some of the songs that she's done in the show have become traditions. And,
Yes.
So for instance, last year, we didn't include one of my original songs that Haley and I recorded together called "Calling on Angels," and I got so many emails.
Angry people.
Yeah, it's like, I hear about it. It's just like, please next time you have Haley, make sure that she, because, I brought my grandma and she loves that song so much, and you guys didn't do it.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
But she's back, and we're going to do "Calling on Angels" in the show. Yeah.
Okay, that's terrific. Well, we're excited. We have a lot to talk about, but why don't you go and play some music to give us a little sample?
Yeah. Do you want to do "Calling on Angels"? Should we do a little bit of that? Maybe
Yeah.
one verse? I mean, we haven't even rehearsed it yet.
This is our rehearsal.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You guys do whatever you feel is necessary.
Lyrics, Michael. I had a little bit
Put you
but
on
I'd
the
love
spot
to
there.
sing that song with you. We're gonna nail it at the show.
That's okay. You can work through the issues on the show, and then by the time you arrive at the old church, you'll be ready to rock.
I think it's been like 3 years since we've done that.
We have not done it in a while. Yeah. So, but I've been hearing about it, so it's time to do it again.
Let me ask you a question, Haley, because normally we just have, Michael in here, but, the Christmas at the old church means so much to so many people here because he's been doing it for years, and you're an artist and a very good one. So what's your take on what he's put together with the performance at the old church? I mean, how do you see it?
I mean, I think it's an amazing tradition that so many people from all walks of life have been able to come together and be a part of. And like people that that I wouldn't expect to have known about your show, they're like, oh, I love Christmas at the old church. I've been going with my family for decades. And it's just a really amazing way to bring the community together, a nice family fun night for everybody.
It has been decades now.
How many years is it now?
34th season.
34.
Yeah.
Can you believe that, Godfather? 34 years.
It's unbelievable to me. And really, if you wanted to design a performance at Christmas time someplace, that's what you design. For me, maybe it's because I've been there so many times to see this, but it just seems to fit so well in the Christmas season. It all works.
34 years ago, we did one night. We did one Friday night, and it sold out. And then so the next year we added a show. Those two sold out. And I said, well, let's add two more. So let's do 4. And they sold out. And then, now we're doing, 20 shows this year. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So, making a mark like that where you establish a tradition, it's like, the Oregon Ballet Theater, they do Nutcracker every year.
Yeah.
Or the Singing Christmas Tree. And so, I'm so grateful that Christmas at the old church is held in that esteem as well. And so I'm really proud of that. And, I think what makes it really special for me is that I really feel something deeply every year when we're at the old church. I get to feel something deeply during the holiday season, and the audience that comes, they get to feel something. And that's just something that we're born with. The moment, we're born to this planet, we come to this planet, we want to feel something. We want to connect. It's just human nature. And so there's an expectation during the holiday season that, that we really want to feel that during this period of time, And so I think we get to meet that expectations for ourselves and for our audience.
A couple of years ago, my wife's uncle came up to spend Christmas with us, and we were sitting around thinking, okay, he's going to come such and such a days, and my wife just right off the bat said, got to take him to the old church, got to go, and seriously, we took him, and it was the highlight of his trip. He loved that so much. I think he felt like it was an old kind of Christmas for him, like a Christmas the way he remembers it being in prior years, and I think for a lot of people, that nostalgia piece of it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where I come from, because I was really active in the high school choir, Parkhurst High School, and it was a legendary choir led by an incredible teacher, Royce Finley, and her choirs were like known all over the place, and it was during the holidays. It was a big deal. We had gigs everywhere. And Mrs. Finley, she was a bit eccentric and very demanding. She had one of those kind of bouffant hairdos, big ringlets and everything. But during the holidays, she frosted it silver, And so she was kind of like the Lawrence Welk of Park Rose. I mean, just, the kind of old-fashioned, traditional. And we did all the traditional carols. And then we went around the neighborhoods, and caroled in the neighborhoods. And it was like, it was kind of old-fashioned. It was the 70s. It was, yeah.
That's terrific.
The wonder years.
I think your show, like a lot of people have different traditions. Like they're going to watch certain movies, they're going to do certain things together as a family. But for your show, I think people have now made your show at the old church as part of their family tradition, which is terrific.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've also been very intentional about is making the show accessible to anybody's, no matter where they come from in their religious beliefs. So, if you're a Muslim or you're Jewish or you're Christian or, Hindu or whatever it happens to be, we're not preaching up there. We're just delivering this great music and the feeling of the season. And so we get like Haley was saying, we get all walks of life there, and everybody feels comfortable.
It's Christmas cheer.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is.
Yes.
Well, what else do you want to play? The canvas is yours. You and Haley can do whatever
Well,
you
let's
feel
do Merry Christmas, Darling.
needed.
Wanna do
Okay,
that one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, let me just get the lyrics out this time, just in case. Because I'm a little bit frazzled today.
Well, let me help Haley out here because, we haven't rehearsed yet, and we were going to rehearse tomorrow and get ready for the show. But, I called her at 1 o'clock this afternoon and said, "Hey, you want to be on the radio?"
We're honored that she could come. That's great.
All right. Actually, I'm going to sing. Greeting cards have all been sent. The Christmas rushes through. But I still have one wish to make, a special one for you. Merry Christmas, darling. We're apart, that's true. But I can dream, and in my dreams, I'm Christmasing with you. Holidays are joyful. There's always something new. But every day is a holiday when I'm near to you. The lights on my tree, I wish you could see. I wish it every day. Logs on the fire fill me with desire to see you and to say that I wish you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year too. Well, I just want to wish on this Christmas Eve, I wish I were with you. I wish I were with you. Merry Christmas, darling.
All right. Nice work. I love it.
So beautiful, Haley.
Thank you.
That's actually a good question. How often do you have lyrics in front of you when you're on stage? Ever?
I try not to ever.
Yeah.
I like to be memorized because it's, you want to be in the moment. You don't want to have to be thinking about the lyrics, but sometimes it's necessary.
I think it's like a question we get as radio guys. Like, how do you know what to talk about, or how do you say so many things? And it's probably the same thing as performing. With practice and repetition, it just comes naturally. I guess.
It's all just in you. But you got to practice.
That's great. She sounds wonderful.
Well, Haley has one of the great pure voices. There's a lot of great singers around, and I've worked with many in the studio, and a few of them I have to auto-tune. Haley, never need to auto-tune Haley Johnson.
I mean,
she is
sometimes,
always,
a little bit.
you are. Whenever we've worked, I mean, she is just spot on. And you guys remember Linda Ronstadt, right?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So Haley has that same kind of world-class quality. She has that kind of a voice, and is so versatile. If you go to like her YouTube channel, she has some old standards she did. You did like a Bread tune. What was that tune?
Oh, I did If by Bread.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm telling you, it's just a throwback. And she's just so talented. She's very modern. She's also can be, nostalgic and she's really good at singing jazz standards too. I mean, she just has one of those great voices, and I just love her talent, and I know, she's got a great career ahead of her. She's just getting started.
This question is for both of you, but how often are you guys like digging into music? Like it could be older music, newer music, listening to different things that's available to you
Every day.
for your creative process.
Yeah, I know I'm involved. I'm always like my ears are on to something, Yeah, and right now I'm doing some sketches for a film that I'm going to be composing for in 2024, and I'm just working on sketches and ideas, and just looking at visuals because the film hasn't been filmed yet. You don't film scoring. You don't do the work until the film has been filmed. It's part of what they call post-production.
You have to see it, right?
Yeah, you have to see it. But, I've got the synopsis and the script, and I've got some visuals, of what it's going to feel like. And so I've been, writing a few themes and stuff. And so far, they're all just loving it and kind of going out of their minds, which is wonderful, which means that's job security.
Michael, I used to be a writer, and I used to worry about when I was writing, did I read this somewhere else? Is this my original thought, or did somebody else say this first? I wonder if that goes through your mind composing music, too. Do things catch in your mind that you worry, maybe I heard that before?
A little bit here and there. The thing is that, there's so many different chord cadences. A chord cadence is a series of chords in a certain order. And there's millions of songs that have the same chord cadence, like La Bamba, or Twist and Shout. Those are the same, the same chords. But they're two different songs, but there's different melodies and two different rhythms, So every era, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, there's kind of a feel that happens. I think this, hey, like right now there's like a really popular chord cadence in pop music for female singers, especially, what's her name? Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? There's probably, I've listened to a lot of her music. There's like 6 or 7 songs that have the same chords, but it's what she does with them is what's genius. It's different lyrics, different feel, different melodies, different grooves, But, just like in the, I think it was the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How many songs in the 50s, late 50s and, early rock and roll and doo-wop used those 5 chords?
Yep.
They were in almost every song, And so that kind of is common in every decade and in each generation, So that's where you hear familiarity more than anything, but it's what you do with those chords, and you come up with your own melodies. And what I really love is if I come up with a melody and I play a new song at one of my shows, and somebody comes up to me and they say, "I've heard that before. What is that?" But it's completely original. Then I know I've written a great melody, because then it becomes it's recognizable right away, just like this. And we hear that once, we know what song that is, or we automatically know what that is. That's such a strong vibration, And so, one of my songs called "Will You Take Me There?" Just a beautiful, it sounds recognizable, doesn't it?
It
First
does.
time you hear it, but it's completely original.
That's great. That's what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
You should give, how about a little Carol of the Bells?
Okay. All right.
It's my favorite.
Okay.
From you. That's terrific.
Yes. Outstanding.
So good. You
Yeah.
probably get a lot of requests for that, I would guess.
Oh, absolutely. I remember singing that in the choir.
If you don't play that at the concert this year, I'll be sending you a card.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, you guys are good because we'll take a commercial break, but I want to keep you on until the end of the hour. If
Oh,
that's
yeah,
all right.
we're good.
All right. Haley
Happy to hang
Johnson,
out.
Michael Allen Harrison in studio. It's awesome. You got the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. More with them when we return, plus details on the shows and how you can get tickets. You got the Rip City Drive.
So when we come back,
Thank you.
That's not bad, Michael. That's
It
pretty
can't
awesome.
it can't be
Not
done
bad.
too
You're not
much better
warming
than
up
that.
at all
I'd say.
today.
Wow.
That's terrific.
That's good.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, she's got it, and I just believe in her so much, and
Thanks,
I think the world really needs to hear that voice. I really do.
I would agree.
Yeah.
How long does it normally take you to warm up before you perform?
Honestly, and right now I'm really struggling with some allergies and just all the time. But like I need to sing for like at least an hour straight for my voice to like fully open up. So it takes. I haven't done that today, but probably I'll be warmed up if I sing like 20 more songs.
There you go.
Is it the same thing with playing, where you need to play a little bit to get warmed up, or is that
Oh,
different?
you know, if I don't have time to warm up, I always kind of design my shows to where songs that I don't need to warm up for, and there's kind of an arc, you know, and then when I get into the big meaty stuff, you know, like the Carol of the Bells, you know, so when I, you know, really need to be, my hands need to be warm and really fluid to just to really execute that in a way that I just really, really love. If my fingers aren't quite there, then I change the way I play it a little bit because I don't want to sound sloppy. But if my hands are all warmed up, then I go for the, you know, the slam dunk version.
Quick question on that. Seriously, I wonder as you age, and you're still a young guy, but your fingers, are you getting any arthritis or anything like that would inhibit your ability?
No carpal tunnel, no arthritis.
Really?
Nothing there. I think I really attest that to my teacher, Aurora Underwood. She was one of the great teachers of this region. And one of the things that she taught me is how to use natural weight and pressing into the key and letting it drop into the key and holding my hands and my arms and my body correctly. And so I have this great natural weight that goes into the keys.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no tension or anxiety, you know, on the top of my hand. So see how if you look at my hand here, it's just like this, you know. I mean, it's just like it's attached to this arm, and that just creates all sorts of problems. But if I use it like a hinge and just drop the natural weight into it instead of like this, but like this, it's a much better sound, and it's really easy on the hands. You're not, you're not breaking it down. You're slowly building it up like a gymnast. You know how they slowly build up their muscles.
Yeah.
You know, rather than lifting the weights, they're lifting their own weight. Yeah.
All right, Michael, I'm looking at your website right now. Let's go over some of the details.
Okay.
What's the best way for people to get tickets for Christmas at the old church?
Just go to my website, michaelallenharrison.com, and then it's just right there on the front page. You don't even have to look for it. And the really great thing, I work with Ticket Tomato for the tickets, and they have people to answer phones.
Really?
Live humans?
Yeah. So, there's a phone number there, and you call a box office, and you talk to a really nice gal with a really pleasant disposition, and she's ready to take care of you. And
she's not located out of the country?
No. Yeah, they have an office right off of Macadam.
All right.
Yeah.
And Haley, for you, Haley Johnson Music, what's the best way for people to seek you out if they want more of what you have to offer music-wise?
Sure. So my website is haleyjohnsonmusic.com. I'm really active on all my socials, Instagram, Facebook, but my like at symbol is Haley Johnson MUS, and Haley is spelled Haley and Johnson with an SEN, not ON.
That's right, Johnson with an SEN.
Yeah.
That's terrific. So 20 shows in all?
20 shows in all, and I added a new show this year, and I've been getting requests to do this over the years. So, Michael, when are you going to do just all piano solo, like candlelight Christmas concert? And so this year I decided on Christmas Eve, we have the two early family shows. So we have one at 2 o'clock and one at 5:30. And then at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do a candlelight solo piano, all Christmas music, and just for a whole different feel. You know those candles you can go out, that are battery powered,
Oh, yeah, those are great.
And you can control them by remote control. Well, I bought 250 of them, and they're going to be all over. Wow. It's just going to be all candlelight. And I'm going to turn off all the electronics. So when I speak to the audience, I'm not going to use a microphone. It's just going to be all piano and just just me speaking and everybody being together.
It's like
gonna
sitting
be,
around the living room.
Exactly. It's going to be completely organic and very intimate. Yeah.
That's terrific. All right. So you can check out the website for tickets. Go to michaelallenharrison.com. You can get your tickets there for Christmas at the Old Church. And for Haley Johnson, Haley, last name Johnson, Johnsen. Haley Johnson, MUS is her @ symbol to find her on all of her socials. All right. So we're getting close to the end of the hour. Do you guys want to play another song as we head out?
Yeah. You want to do, so this has become a tradition.
Okay.
Haley's version of Ave Maria is
perfect.
just off the charts.
Get a drink.
So,
yeah. Get a drink. That's my mom's favorite, by the way.
I'm going to have to stand up for this one.
This is going to be good. Haley Johnson and Michael Allen Harrison here in studios on the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad.
Wait, we do you in F, right? We do in the key of F. I think is that the right key? I think it's F. You do it in F. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right about there. Yeah. That sound right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Okay. Here we go.
I like it.
Oh, wait, it might be.
No, it's F.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
F.
he's
Haley.
right.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Maria, gratia plena, Maria, gratia plena, Ave, Ave Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Ave
Thank you, guys. Haley, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Haley Johnson,
Thanks,
Michael Allen Harrison.
Thanks, fellas.
You can catch them Christmas at the Old Church.
Always a pleasure.
Nice.
Really
good.
here's what you need to know. From the Goldberg Jones Sports Desk, your 620 Rip City Radio headlines. Goldberg Jones. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.
All right, Trailblazers in action tonight. They start a busy week with 4 games. They're in Los Angeles to meet the Clippers. Tip-off at 7:30. Game day at 6. Clips favored by 13.5. From the NFL, Justin Herbert expected to miss Thursday Night Football with a fractured right index finger. Chargers will meet the Raiders in Vegas. Vikings hopeful Justin Jefferson will make a return to the lineup Saturday. Minnesota at 7-6 will play at 7-6 Cincinnati. Saturday morning at 10 on NFL Network. Kenny Pickett still sidelined. Mitch Trubisky will make another start this weekend for the Steelers when they meet the Colts. Monday Night Football doubleheader tonight at 5:15 on ESPN. Titans at Dolphins. Miami favored by 14 on ABC. Packers are at the Giants. Green Bay is favored by 6. From baseball, after signing Shohei Ohtani to a record $700 million deal, the Dodgers have traded reliever Victor Gonzalez and infielder Corbett Vivas to the New York Yankees for shortstop prospect Trey Sweeney to open a roster spot for Ohtani.
The home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio.
And Haley Johnson for coming by in studio and getting us prepped for Christmas at the Old Church. How good was that? Nice little touch to have Haley in concert. She's always the standout performer at the shows because her voice is so remarkable. You've seen performances over the course of time. How was that?
We are so lucky. I mean, really, to get that in our little studio here.
Yeah.
That's like a private show, Chad. Come on.
We didn't have to pay for it.
I was just going to say, I hate to think what that might cost. That's 2 very talented people, and I can't get enough of it. I get shivers when she sang Ave Maria there at the end.
There's no auto-tune there.
No.
Good gracious.
That was incredible.
All right, Shohei Ohtani, $700 million over 10 years. The Dodgers got him. You and I were not surprised. I never bought for a moment that guy was going to go to Canada. Why? To give them more in tax money and to play up there? Forget that. I'll stay on the West Coast in Los Angeles with the beautiful people, the beautiful weather, and play for a storied franchise. And the Dodgers, that's where I expect him to go. He's there. What do you think about the deal?
It's a lot of money, Chad. I don't know that I as a franchise, you can add a lot of players for that kind of money. Let's put it that way. The funny thing is, it's just broke a little bit ago that, believe it or not, of those, every one of those years for 10 years, he's deferring 68 of the 70 million so that they have salary, and they don't have caps anymore, but so the team will have room to add players while he's there.
Wow.
He's going to be a mighty rich man in his old age. But it saves them on their budget and without the tax and everything. I think it saves them like $45 million a year to free room for other players. And so it's a smart move on his behalf. It's a similar situation to what Bobby Bonilla famously had, still has with the Mets, where he hasn't played in decades and he's still being paid.
It's a terrific deal for Ohtani to have that type of money coming to him forever.
Well, I don't know how he's going to live on just $2 million a year, Chad, but I think he'll suffer along.
Yeah, compromise his lifestyle.
Yeah, I'd worry about it as an organization to commit that kind of money to one player, where you can add other players. And I worry too about his ability to pitch at a high level after his second Tommy John surgery. So we'll see, but. The Dodgers can't make much more money off him because they lead the major leagues in attendance anyway. So there's a real limit to how many more people they can put in to see him play. But and they have to split the merchandising with other teams in the big leagues. So the payoff will come more in their success. And there's certainly money in their success because then they can get more money for their TV rights and their radio rights and everything else that goes along with it in SoCal.
Have you ever been able to put a price tag on the value of winning a championship?
No, people try and do that, but mostly it's teams that can add a big season ticket push the following year. You know, that's when you make the money. You win the World Series. It's like the Braves did the same thing. They win it. Then the next year is where the windfall comes. They're still selling out games because of that World Series they won 3 years ago. So that's where it comes. And for the Dodgers, that just won't be as great as. But look, if you're owned by a bunch of guys who don't mind spending the money for the cachet of having that player on the team, and they like wearing World Series rings, they'll do it.
What's amazing is the Dodgers have won one championship since '88. That's it.
It's incredible, given how good they've been. They're in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, so we know Shohei Ohtani's going to get a taste of the postseason. That's almost a guarantee. The weird part is with baseball, you know how it's a bizarre sport. I could see it very well going in a situation where the Dodgers win the most games in the majors. They get to the playoffs, and all of a sudden Freeman, Mookie Betts, and Shohei go cold, and they don't get out of the first round. That's what happened this year.
Yeah, well, it's a sport where one guy he can't get you over the top, really. No. And it's like you get in the playoffs, and this is what happens to him. You get in the playoffs. If the other team has just two guys who are such good starting pitchers that they shut them down, you're in real trouble. I mean, both those guys, Fred Freeman and Mookie Betts, went virtually hitless through the whole playoffs.
How broken is baseball from the standpoint that you have teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, and others who have money to spend and they're willing to do it, and yet you have these other teams who share in the revenue that's distributed amongst the teams, but they don't reinvest in their team?
Well, you say that, but the funny thing is in baseball is they have more diversity of teams winning than all the other sports that have caps. It's amazing. Look at the World Series this year. Who was in the stupid World Series this year?
Arizona and Texas.
I mean, come on. They're not the biggest spenders out there.
The biggest spenders this year had the most difficult seasons.
Yeah. It's just weird how it works. But it's so dependent on the guy standing in the middle of the diamond, the pitcher. And if you get those guys, and if they're hot and healthy, you can win and you can beat all these big spenders.
It will be on a lot of nights, just seeing Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani in the lineup. Are you freaking kidding me?
No, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those are arguably the three best players in baseball right there.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. How much of this is also signing a player to make sure he doesn't go to the Giants or one of your key rivals?
Yeah, there is some of that, I'm sure. I'm sure they wanted to keep him away from the Giants, the Angels, the Cubs. And that's probably the big National League teams that were chasing him.
We'll almost certainly see the Dodgers raise ticket prices across the board, too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the fans are going to pay for this one. You want Ohtani, no problem. You're going to pay for it.
Well, they're in that part of the world where they can get away with it, too. You know, it's going to cost you for everything in Southern California.
Well, the reason why it's important to me, when you're in that town, and the Dodgers are huge, but I really believe this, that L.A. is a different type of town. You need star power, and you need to give a reason for people to want to show up to the ballpark.
Yeah.
And Ohtani is a massive star, and they have an incredibly diverse community down there, so you're giving people a reason to want to show up to watch him play. Because there are so many other options with sports teams and entertainment and great weather and the beaches and everything else that people can do to spend their time. You've got to have star power to be able to measure up and get people in the seats. I really believe that in L.A. It's not like any other town. Here, we will show up to watch basketball because we don't have other options. In a place like L.A., they got the Lakers. They've got two football teams. They got this, a little bit of that. They got everything.
Yeah, in Portland, we don't have a walk of fame downtown where they put somebody's star out there on the sidewalk, do we?
I don't think so.
It's a good thing. Somebody would just pitch a tent on it anyway.
So you wouldn't have spent the money?
I don't think I'd go that high, Chad, honestly. I think a lot of baseball people believe that too. That's very high. There's only a few organizations that can rationalize that. And some of those organizations would have really profited at the turnstiles from his presence. But the Dodgers aren't one of them. But that's the Dodgers. They're like the Yankees used to be. The Yankees used to just spend whatever it took.
Yeah.
And once George Steinbrenner passed away, that kind of stopped. I think his kids probably need the money from that franchise more than old George did. So they're a little more cautious with what they spend. But the Dodgers were look, we thought they were going to the Dodgers from day one.
100%.
Yeah.
Never doubted it at all.
No, we called it. In fact, I said during the season, they're just giving themselves room on their salary cap, or not a cap, but their salary sheet for signing him.
Yes.
And they were divesting themselves of some bad contracts so they could take on his bad contract.
They showed some restraint last year before the season in what they wanted to add to the roster. And it was all for one purpose. They knew what was coming up, and they were all in on getting Shohei.
Mm-hmm.
It made perfect sense. He's in SoCal. Most guys want to be in SoCal.
Yeah.
Let's position ourselves to do it. And the great thing for Shohei is that he had enough suitors to where he could just get whatever price he wanted.
Yeah, and I think baseball, of all the major sports, profits from its geography more than anything else. Teams in those good weather states can prosper because guys want to play in warm weather. They don't want to play in a chilly Northland.
Well, I wonder for those owners, too, like when it gets to $500 million or $600 million, are you going to let another $100 million stop you from getting Ohtani?
Yeah, I know.
Because the owners can come back and be like, hey, wait a second. We could have spent another $100 million, had Ohtani, and we didn't? What's up with that?
Yeah, and there's ways to do this now, too. Now that he's getting deferred,
yeah,
you can take some of that $70 million, put it somewhere where you can gain nice interest on it.
Yeah.
So you'll be paying less in today's dollars for those years than you would now.
So you collect interest off of the money owed.
Off his salary, basically.
Genius.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
not a
what I
bad
would
idea.
do. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. They're opening up. That's going to be a wild scene in South Korea against the Padres.
Can you believe that?
I looked into the idea of going to South Korea because I have not been, but I know people who have lived there. My dad's done a lot of work over there. Said it's a really cool place to go visit. And I thought, man, it'd be kind of fun to go check out the Dodgers and Padres. But
it's great for baseball, too. They love baseball over there. Chad, I think we both should go. I'd go. I would. I'd go.
Man, $700 million. I have to ask the question, if he's worth $700 million to the Dodgers, what is a player like LeBron worth to a franchise? Some of these other big-time athletes, what are they worth?
Well, I think in real dollars, not as much because you don't play as many games and the arenas aren't as big as the stadiums are in baseball. So you have more people paying for more games.
Yeah.
So I think that matters a little bit too. But you're right. If basketball didn't have a salary cap, you'd be seeing those kind of contracts.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. When we come back, we're going to talk some NFL. How about the Cowboys and Eagles last night? Are the Dallas Cowboys a legit Super Bowl contender? The Denver Broncos are on fire, and I'm loving it. Everything about it I love, love, love. AFC playoff picture is a little bit murky. And what about the NFC? It looks like the 49ers could get the number one seed, much to my chagrin because of Michael Shacker and Chris Burkhardt. But they're in a great position. We'll talk some football when we come back. Rip City Radio and Holt Homes want to pay your mortgage or rent in 2024. Went up to $18,000 to help offset those monthly payments in the Home for Holidays sweepstakes. Enter today at ripcityradio.com, powered by Holt.
The Rip City Drive, brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Here on 620 Rip City Radio. Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
All right, we get to this coming up at 4:45, but I've been telling you for a long time that the commissioner, Skeletor, Adam Silver,
Yeah.
he's insane, absolutely insane.
My
The
favorite
Lakers,
Martian, I call him.
it's ridiculous, man. The pasty man has lost it. The LA Lakers have announced they're going to raise a banner for their in-season tournament victory. Are you freaking kidding me?
It was a once proud franchise, Chad.
It's really
not so
embarrassing.
proud anymore.
I love Jeannie Buss, and I just saw a great interview with her recently. The Lakers, they define success by one simple way: winning championships and getting more titles than the Boston Celtics. They're a great, proud franchise. They don't give a flying rip about raising some in-season tournament banner. We'll get to that coming up at 4:45. Stop trying so hard to pretend like it matters. Well, what are we coming to where they're raising banners for in-season tournaments, for crying out loud? That's not professional sports, idiots.
Chad, they did beat the Indiana Pacers for the
Oh,
championship.
my gosh. What a joke. It's so dumb.
Wins the parade.
I just hate everything about it.
Get the ring sizes.
You always know something's fraudulent when people push it so hard.
Yep, and that was pushed right down our throats.
It's like, wait a second. If it's so wonderful, why are you trying so hard to convince me it's wonderful? All right, we'll get to that. They're raising a banner. Are you flipping kidding me? Adam Silver's lost his mind. He's crazy. He crazy, Godfather.
He crazy.
He crazy. He's trying really hard to make it matter or pretend that it matters so he can get new TV deals and maybe some streaming, but it's crazy. We'll get to that at 4:45. Also, in regards to Shohei, this is genius from Bob Nightingale. Shohei Ohtani's decision to earn just $2 million a year certainly is a great benefit to the Dodgers' payroll, but also a stroke of genius for tax repercussions. If he's not living in California once his deferred payments start, he will not be subjected to heavy California tax. That right there is a stroke of genius. The tax dollars, as I mentioned, when I lived down there, I was paying about 44.7% between state and federal tax.
Somebody figured it out on Twitter yesterday that he might be paying like 52 to 54%.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to give that to Gavin Newsom and the rest of the state of California.
No.
Suck it, boy. I'm going to be out of here. So we'll keep an eye on that. What a wild $700 million. That is some big-time cheese.
Yes.
That is laughable money. That's the type of money where you can basically just extend middle fingers to anyone. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I got 700 million reasons that I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Good gracious. He's getting paid a king's ransom to play a kid's sport. What? Does it get any better than that?
That's about as good as it gets.
That's about as good as
Right
it gets.
there.
You're
Yeah.
playing a kid's game, and you're just going to sit back and have 700 million roll in. That is genius.
And it's kind of fun to play that game, too. He'll enjoy himself while he's making that kind of money.
Oh, yeah. Buy whatever you want.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. Go wherever you want. Buy an island if you want. Whatever you want to do, the world is in the palm of your hand, Shohei. Enjoy. That is sick cash.
I hope he buys Bose headphones for his teammates. I think he ought to buy them all a Rolex is what he ought to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop there. He could buy them whatever he wanted, each and every single one of them, and it wouldn't even put a dent in his bank account.
I know.
Like, you can't even spend $700 million.
But he's going to get by for $2 million a year there for 10 years.
Hey, man.
That's going to be hard, Chad.
Yeah,
I don't
really
know how a
hard.
guy gets by on $2 million a year.
The reality is that he won't be sacrificing anything. He'll get the $2 million coming in. He can get a loan for whatever money he wants to do whatever he wants.
Well, I'm guessing he has a few bucks in the bank from his previous gig. You know, he made pretty good money there, too. I don't know what it was, but it was nice.
Good gracious. It's amazing. $70 million a year for 10 years.
He instantly becomes America's most eligible bachelor.
It's wild. All right, let's talk a little football. Are the Dallas Cowboys a legitimate Super Bowl contender now? Have they turned a corner after the dominant performance over the Philadelphia Eagles last night?
They're a contender for the Super Bowl. I don't know how legitimate they are because to me, they're still the Cowboys.
But if they're a Super Bowl contender, if you believe they can get there, they're a legit contender.
You know what, Chad? I don't think they can get there. I think the people are going to say they're a contender. I don't see them getting there. They got to get by a couple of pretty good teams to get there.
So you still would place them behind the 49ers?
And the Eagles. I know they lost to the Eagles. Eagles are going through the down spell. They've got some injuries. If they played again, I think the Eagles would get them, honestly.
Well, the 49ers are the main benefactor of that Dallas win last night.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
We did. The 49ers are 10-3. The Cowboys are 10-3. And the Philadelphia Eagles are 10-3. But here's the advantage for the 49ers. They beat both Dallas and the Philadelphia Eagles. So now the 49ers, all they have to do is win out, and they'll get the 1 seed.
Yeah, which is fairly important.
It's everything.
Yeah.
I've talked about Purdy not being able to go on the road and win a tough playoff game to get his team to a Super Bowl. They're playing at home. That's a totally different ballgame. It's a totally different ballgame, and that's a great position for the 49ers. So they are in the driver's seat. They have one tough game remaining. They host Baltimore. I would think now the 49ers probably went out and finished with 3 losses because they understand what's at stake. That would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys have a more difficult stretch the rest of the way than do the San Francisco 49ers. On their schedule, they go to Buffalo to take on the Bills this weekend. Then they travel to Miami to meet the Dolphins, home against the Lions, and they're at the Commanders. So the Cowboys are going to collect another loss or 2 before it's all said and done.
I could see them going 2-2.
They're not going to win out. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, on the other hand, they're sitting in a good position even with the loss last night because that was their final tough game. They're at the Seahawks coming up on Monday. Drew Lock's going to be playing quarterback. They're not losing that game. Then they host the Giants, the Cardinals, and they finish up at the Giants. So the Eagles are going to win out.
Yeah.
So the question is now, do the 49ers win out and preserve the number 1 seed, or do they drop the game to Baltimore and then the Eagles are able to get in and get the 1 seed with 3 losses? For the 49ers, here's their schedule the rest of the way. And the 1 seed is going to be critical when it comes to getting to the Super Bowl. They're at the Cardinals this weekend, W. Then they come home and host the Ravens on Christmas. 5:15 kick on ABC. At the Commanders, finish up at home against the Rams. They're not going to lose those other games. It comes down to Baltimore, who will be playing for everything because they're in competition for the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
For you 49er fans, everything you could have possibly wanted, desired, and hoped for after that 3-game losing streak has come to fruition. Your team controls their own destiny for the 1 seed. Kyle Shanahan has done a masterful job once again. And Brock Purdy is being mentioned in the MVP race, which is wild to me because he's not even the MVP of his own team. Who do you think the MVP of the 49ers is?
Brock Purdy.
You do?
I do.
You told me last week it was Christian McCaffrey.
All right, this week, after those passes he threw in the last game.
So you're changing it now. You think Purdy's MVP?
Changing it. I have a right to change it.
You do. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
last week it was one thing. This week it's another thing.
Brock Purdy.
And you hold the right.
I think he's MVP of the league. How's that?
All right. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying that you should probably be the best player in your own team to be considered MVP of the league.
Well, I tell you, he dropped a couple of beauties last week.
All right. And they lost 3 in a row when he didn't have his, nice little toys to play with.
They all do that. No, there's nobody ever wins MVP that isn't surrounded by really good players.
No, I think Brock Purdy will win the MVP. I'm just saying he's not the MVP of his own team.
I don't think he'll win it, actually. If the Cowboys somehow go undefeated, Dak Prescott's going to win.
Well, we already established they're not going undefeated.
Well,
they're not winning out. They're not going to go to Buffalo and Miami and win both games. That's not happening.
Lamar Jackson.
No, he won't. I think Brock Purdy's going to win it. I do. I don't think he should, but he's going to. I mean, with the numbers he's putting up and with the way they're winning games, and if they get the number 1 seed, it's almost a lock.
Why don't you think he should?
I already established that. He's not the best player, the most valuable player on his own team. That's all.
We saw what happened last year when he got hurt. He was pretty valuable then.
Well, who was their backup? They didn't have a backup. So when you go to a game and you don't have a backup, that's a problem.
Everybody's got a problem when their starter goes out, except for the Cincinnati Bengals.
It doesn't matter who played quarterback for the 49ers that day. The Eagles were the better team. The Eagles won the game. They were the better team.
Okay, 49ers will never believe that, and they thought they showed that
I don't give a flying
the
rip
last time.
what they believe.
Well,
I'm just saying in that game at home, in the NFC title game, I don't think the Eagles were going to lose that game. I said that before the game. It didn't matter to me when Brock Purdy got hurt. The 49ers were not going to win that game. The Eagles were the superior team last year. Now, this year, the Eagles have their own issues right now. Linebackers are decimated by injury. Their defense, if they don't get pressure up front because they've been dealing with injuries, their secondary can be had. And we saw it again last night. So the Eagles got their own issues. The good thing for them, schedule eases up. They got time to work through their issues before the playoffs arrive. That's the advantage for Philadelphia. They got time to figure it out, just like the 49ers did when they got nicked up and banged up and had to work through the 3-game losing streak. But, yeah, whoever gets the 1 seed, in my opinion, in the NFC is going to the Super Bowl. So if it's San Francisco, they'll go. If it's Philadelphia, they'll go. I think the 1 seed's that critical in the NFC. That's what I believe. And I do not think the 49ers are going to drop a home game to Baltimore. I think they're going to win out and get the 1 seed. Yeah. And I think Brock Purdy's playing like a man that's been listening to me talk about him for the last year, saying, I just want to shove it to that Chad guy.
Well, you and Brian have made fun of this guy for a year and a half now, and he's doing it. I'm sorry, but a lot of people in the NFL who I respect are really coming around saying this guy's good. He is good. He is making throws a lot of other guys aren't making. I'll tell you that.
He's playing good. He's playing terrific football. There's no question. No question.
I don't know why it's held against him that he's playing with good players. Traditionally, those quarterbacks who've been MVP have played with good players.
Like I said, my stance has always been the same, is that in a tough game against superior competition on the road, my question has always been the same. Can he move the football? Can he move the chains through the air when the defense knows what's coming? When you can't use the smoke and mirrors and the cute run game and the play design, can you move the football when you have to? That's been my big question mark with him. It's been the same.
Well, he hasn't had the opportunity to do that, so you're going to hold it against him that he hasn't because he hasn't had the chance?
I'm not holding it against him. I'm just saying I didn't think he was the type of quarterback that could do it. So we're going to find out real quick. But if they get the 1 seed and they're playing at home, no excuses at that point. If you get the bye and you're playing at home, no excuses. You got to go out there and get the job done. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't think Dallas is going to go because I don't think Dallas can beat Philadelphia or San Francisco on the road to get to where they want to be.
I don't either. In fact, I'm a little upset at all this talk about Dak. He's still the same Dak. I watched him last night. He's better, but he's still missing throws he ought to make, and he's still putting the ball on the ground once in a while when he shouldn't, and he's still Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I think the changes, they talked about it at length during the broadcast, but him getting a better understanding of the offense, the West Coast, and delivering the football on time and on target. Getting rid of the football sooner. You drop back, as soon as your foot hits the ground, the ball's out. So he's doing a better job of getting rid of the football sooner instead of holding onto the ball. So we're seeing the coaching is helping him get to that next level in terms of where to place the ball and where to put it. That's why they're playing. They're where they're at right now because he has elevated his game.
Well, they're where they are right now because they've had an amazing schedule of bad teams leading up to the game last night. I mean, they had a lot of wins that were due them because of who they were playing.
Well, that's true. But there are a lot of teams that play games that they should win and they don't. So I mean, at least the Cowboys are taking advantage of those opportunities in front of them. Yeah. The good thing is they went into a game last night against a team that people doubted, and they dominated the football game. They dominated from start until finish. I did not think they could do that, and they did that. Now, the real test will be on the road against Buffalo and Miami. You want to show me what you're really about. Can you go and scratch out a couple of tough road wins against quality competition and protect the football and continue to make plays and the big plays in all phases, because they've had big plays in special teams. Their defense has been coming up with big plays, and, of course, Dak has been great with the offense. I want to see if they can do that. I don't think they will, and I mean, how it is if they have to go on the road at San Francisco, are they going to win that game against the 49ers? No, they'll probably get their ass whooped again. They'll get annihilated. And then McCarthy gets exposed when he's going up against a mastermind like Shanahan. I mean, McCarthy's not a bad coach, but he's not, Shanahan's about as good as it gets. And Shanahan look at the guys he's got now. He's got a quarterback he trusts that can make the throws and run the offense and deliver it on time. And when things break down, he can buy time with his legs. Ayuk, Debo, and frickin' McCaffrey. He's got everything he needs to be able to make that offense work. And Trent Williams back healthy at left tackle.
And a good tight end.
and a good tight end and a defense that's nasty. And they're a physical football team. They don't just want to go out there and hit you with the pretty offense. They want to physically beat you up with their defense, and they do that. That's what you need to win a championship. If we need to get physical and dirty, we can do that. We can score big if have to, or we can line up and play a defensive game and run the football and win it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's the type of offense that travels on the road if they do wind up in that spot, which is it's great for them. I credit Dak because he has elevated his play. But until he proves to me that he can do it in the playoffs, I'll have to assume that he's going to wind up being the same quarterback we've seen. Because we have a track record of history here with the Cowboys. They get to the big moment, they get to a big spot, and that's usually when chaos ensues. Poor decision-making, bad turnover, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the idea of some rematches coming up in the postseason. I would like to see Dallas get a rematch against the 49ers after getting undressed earlier in the season by them. How would they respond to that? I'd love to see it. The Broncos could potentially match up with the Miami Dolphins in the first round of the playoffs. I would like to see Denver get a rematch on a team that dropped 70 on them. See how they respond to that. It's not too often you get a chance to rematch in those situations against teams who have done that. The AFC is so murky, I have no idea, Godfather.
I don't think you want to play the Dolphins in Miami, though. I don't think.
Well, the Broncos don't have a choice. They have to go on the road and play somebody. And it's going to be one of the top teams because the Broncos are going to slide in. So you're going to wind up playing. It won't be the 1 seed because they get the bye. So you're looking at, who you got in the AFC? Kansas City, Miami, or Jacksonville. Could be one of those 3 teams there if you slide in as the 7th seed.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you don't care, but the Broncos, you have to admit, 1-5 to winning 6 out of the last 7. It's not bad. It's pretty good coaching.
I told you that today. I would have made a lot of money if I could have gotten money down when they were 1-5.
That's true.
To say they're going to make the playoffs. Goodness.
But earlier in the week last week, you told me the Chargers were going to beat the Broncos. I don't know why you would pick the Chargers to win any game right now. Their coach is a complete buffoon. What was he doing yesterday? That was a guy who was coaching like a complete moron, like he knows he's going to be fired. So he's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll just go for it in every spot.
Well, Herbert's got a broken index finger on his right hand. He cannot throw the football. Do not come back and try to play with a splint or anything else. Justin, take it on home. Even if you are healthy, I would tell you, don't play in any more games for this guy because you're going to get killed. They're a mess. They can't protect him. They haven't protected him the whole time he's been there. He's taken more bumps and bruises than any quarterback in the league.
It's embarrassing. This is what you get. The Chargers should be being coached right now by Sean Payton.
They had their chance, right?
He would have taken the job. You fire Staley. You offer big money to Payton. He's coaching Justin Herbert right now. They chose to go cheap because that's what their franchise does, and look at them now. They're a disaster, and they're going to fire their coach.
And they're going to hire some unproven assistant because they can get him cheap.
So in the NFC, we agree that it's Philly or San Francisco. The AFC, is it still Baltimore and Kansas City? Because right now, Baltimore's at 10-3. Miami plays tonight. They're going to probably win and beat the Titans. They'll be 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Kansas City at 8-5. Jacksonville at 8-5. Cleveland at 8-5. And then you've got this group of teams at 7-6. Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. That is a messy conference right there.
Yeah. I'm not in love with any of those 8-5 teams, really. I still like Kansas City. I'll go down with the ship on that one, I'm afraid. I think Mahomes finally goes on the road for a playoff game and wins it. Or wins them if he has to do it twice.
Well, as long as they continue to cry about bad calls. I hate the Chiefs. Screw them. Like, the NFL has been going out of their way to help them for years. They get the benefit of the doubt, and finally now they're in a spot where they're not getting the job done, and a call goes against them, and they whine like little children.
Yeah, they
Please shut up.
No, they're the favored sons in the NFL, and Mahomes has played the role of LeBron, being the face of the league and the guy who gets the calls.
Of course.
It's true.
Dallas is not going to the Super Bowl. I'm firm in believing that.
I agree.
All right.
What about Buffalo?
What about them? They're 7-6, and they're a disaster with a dumb head coach. They're going nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's playing, though.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing well, and their team is still
Well,
they
it
were
goes
fortunate to win yesterday.
Well, it goes to show you, a great quarterback needs help. It's really hard.
Sean McDermott is not going to lead that team anywhere.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right.
Gosh. That was malpractice at the end of that game yesterday.
He
If
could've
they would
run
have
clock.
lost, it would have been because of him, because they did not manage the clock well at all.
Yeah.
Throwing incompletes and stopping the clock. Kansas City didn't have to burn their timeouts before the 2-minute warning. What are you, a moron?
Yeah.
Run the ball and make them use their timeouts so that Mahomes has his. You figured he would have learned this in the playoff game. McDermott's a fool. They need to fire him too. These defensive coaches are not doing very well in the NFL.
A lot of guys are going to get fired this year.
You could have 9 to 10 openings.
Yeah.
Black Monday is going to be very black this year in the NFL.
It'll be good for the Chargers, though, because then they'll have an excuse for hiring some low-rent guy off a losing team that coaches defense.
Well, based on what I'm seeing, thank you, Spanos family, for being dumb and cheap and allowing the Broncos to swoop in and get Sean Payton.
Yeah, that was a good move.
That helps to have that Walmart money. How much do you need, Sean? 9, 10 million or whatever. Let's get that deal done.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back, and we're going to talk about Adam Silver and this ridiculous. They're raising a banner in L.A. for the in-season tournament. Please make it stop, please. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and we are simply having a commercial-free sing-along time. Open the free iHeartRadio app and indulge in exclusive, one-of-a-kind holiday stations and playlists for every joyful mood. Get a head start on
It's Rip City Drive on 620 Rip City Radio. Brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
All right, I had Ted Trilliard reach out to me on Twitter and tell me, hey, it was a big success. Stop being a hater, CIP, in regards to the NBA in-season tournament. So I asked him, what metric are you using to determine whether or not it was a big success? Interest, ratings, discussion, and buzz all way up from normal November and December games. Players bought in and cared about it. Games were good and fun to watch. I was skeptical like most, but accomplished their goal and will only get better in future years.
Well, that's what the NBA wants everyone to think. I mean, that's the cover story.
Yes, but Ethan Strauss, you sent me the link to his piece today.
Yeah.
He had a very good piece out in regards to the numbers, in regards to how the in-season tournament did. And he said the result, a number that looks like regular season, or at least not far from it. After Turner combined 4 channels, TNT, TBS, and True TV, and Max. For context, the NBA playoffs first round opening weekend averaged 4.15 million last postseason, and those games were all on one channel. So we know for the tournament semis in the in-season tournament, Pacers and Bucks averaged 1.6 million. Pelicans and Lakers, TNT, TBS, and True TV averaged 2.174 million. So really, according to Strauss, it looks like the fans responded to it like they do a regular season NBA game.
Right. And they, by the way, set up some really good matchups in this on nights where they knew those matchups would give them as good a ratings as they could get this time of year. The fact is, the same people who had watched the regular season game between those teams watched the tournament game between those teams. They didn't get the casuals tuning in that they were hoping for.
Yeah, they got basketball heads like they normally would to tune in and watch regular season basketball.
Exactly.
Which essentially is what the in-season tournament is. It's regular season basketball games packaged underneath this umbrella of in-season tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So if I understand clearly what the goal here was, and I think I do, and Strauss further helped me understand it, the league is in a position where they're getting ready to, they're negotiating a new TV deal, which should be for hundreds of millions of dollars, big, billions of dollars. It's going to be a big number. But Adam Silver also knows that there's a stigma associated with the NBA where you have 81 games a year, but the early season games in, October, November, December, no one cares about. We all know that the saying is the NBA season starts after Christmas. That's when people start to tune in. So the in-season tournament for Silver was a way to try and create more interest and a way you could package it, maybe get some streaming deals because you're trying to get more revenue dollars for your TV package.
In truth, Chad, what people are saying and what Strauss said was that the NBA was hot on trying to get Netflix to do a documentary on the tournament, kind of like Drive to Survive, or the golf or tennis ones that they've already done. And the fact is, apparently, Netflix turned them down. So that was a real letdown for the NBA, which had hoped it could be sold in that respect, which would have been huge for the league. But apparently Netflix decided the interest wasn't there.
They turned them down.
Mm-hmm. So, the players did a good job of acting as if it was really important to them. The league did all it could to separate those games from normal games, spending millions on things like advertising, different courts, different basketball courts to set them apart, and just all sorts of publicity blitzes designed to get people to watch these particular games to make it look like they were more important. And the NBA media just bought in entirely to what Commissioner Adam Silver was selling them, and they pushed it as if it was the greatest thing to happen since sliced bread.
And then we get the report from Chris Haynes today that the Lakers are going to raise an in-season tournament banner.
Yeah. Which I don't think G.D. Buss was in for that.
Of course not.
This is something the league is making them do, right?
One of the reasons why I love Jeannie Buss, she would never celebrate an in-season tournament championship. Because no one in their right mind would, because the fans would be like, why are we celebrating this? It's dumb.
Yeah.
But the NBA would make you do it because they're trying to create this fake idea that it matters.
Chad, it's the same way I felt when the Blazers put up a division championship banner after they won a division. I mean, come on. You won a division? Nobody even knows that you won a division because it disappears once you get to the playoffs.
That didn't make sense to me either because the divisions don't really matter in the NBA. It's all about playoff seeding.
Yeah.
But I think it was you that told me, or someone told me, that it matters to certain coaches because they have incentives built into the contract when you win a division.
Yeah.
So it might matter to Terry Stotts, who's getting a nice little chunk of change for his division championship, but no basketball fan gives a the Warrior fans could not care less about the Pacific Division.
No, I would hope not.
Where are we seated? Or do we have home court? And let's go out and kick some ass.
Yeah.
Well, we won the Northwest Division.
Good for you.
LeBron popping champagne. Look, I'm a LeBron hater, and even I will give him the benefit of the doubt and just believe that he was doing it as a joke because even he knew the in-season tournament doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Champagne?
So it was kind of satire then.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because to do that and have any type of...
You know LeBron better than that. He's going to celebrate anything he can to make his career look better. He's won an in-season tournament, and Michael Jordan never did. How's that?
His fans will say that.
Yeah. They're already saying it.
Yeah. Michael Jordan would not have cared about an in-season tournament.
No, he just cared about winning every one of those games, though.
Yeah. We're going to play games, so I'm out here to try and beat you.
Yeah.
I don't care about the in-season tournament. Well, I'm game. Competition, baby. All right, we have Blazers game day coming up next. Have a nice evening, my friend.
Well, thank you, Chad. It's been a pleasure to have you back in town, and I'm glad we didn't burn the studio down while you were gone.
I'm thankful for that. I'm just thankful Chris Burkhart made it to studio today with his gas issues.
Yeah, there's gas there.
If you're a gas station and you don't sell a gas can, you're a loser.
I know. What's that about?
I don't know. Hey, do you have any gas cans? No, we don't sell that. But you sell gas. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Could you put one in a can, please?
All right. Game day's up next. Blazers, Clippers coming up at 7:30. Well, good afternoon, my friends. This is Blazers Game Day. I am your host, Chad Doing, along with Michael Shacker. As your Portland Trailblazers on the road tonight in Los Angeles, getting ready to take on the Clippers. Tip-off will be at 7:30. Curtis Long will have your Trailblazer pregame show coming up at 6:30. And, of course, I am back after the game for fifth quarter. So the Blazers right now, after the game on Friday night against the Mavericks, they fall by a final score of 125-112. They're now 6-15 on the year and hoping to get back in the winning column with a game tonight in L.A. against the Clippers. Now, I'll say this, and again, I sound like a broken record probably, but the Blazers, you got to tip the cap in terms of the competition and what they've been able to do night in and night out when they've taken the floor. I respect the way they're competing. I really love the way they're defending. Right now, keep this in mind, they are a quarter of the way into the season. They played 21 games, 6-15. And as we enter action tonight, your Portland Trailblazers are 10th in the league in defensive rating. 10th! So I respect the way they're defending. I really appreciate the way that Billups and his staff have been able to get these guys to compete when they've had significant injuries where guys are in and out of the lineup. So they've had to put together different lineups, have different people on the floor. Now they're getting Ant back into the mix. So they've had a lot of different faces, a lot of different players getting big minutes, but we're seeing these guys compete and especially get it done defensively, which we haven't seen in a long time. So I love that. Also, the development of the young players, namely Shaedon Sharpe, Tamani Kamara, and we're seeing a little progress right now with Scoot Henderson, who has had his own list of challenges so far in his rookie season. But the Blazers, they battled, they competed, they really did a good job of trying to make life tough on Luka, but the Mavericks were just too much, and the Blazers take the loss 125-112. The interesting part in that game, Portland put up 53 threes against the Mavericks. 53. They were 18 of 53 from downtown for 34%. That number is probably a little bit higher than what they're looking for, but the Mavericks, like the Blazers will see against a lot of teams this year, they're going to pack the paint, and they're going to dare Portland to shoot the basketball because that's their big weakness, their Achilles heel. Not a good three-point shooting team, not a good shooting team. Offense has been a challenge so far this year, so Portland is going to see more of that. But for the Blazers, they did have a number of different guys step up and play very well in that game against Dallas on Friday. Shaedon Sharpe finished the game with 24 points. He was 7 of 15 from the field, 5 of 10 from downtown, and he pulled down 9 rebounds and dished out 5 assists. Shaedon Sharpe has been terrific this year. He hasn't been perfect, but he is progressing at a very nice clip. I like his confidence. I like the decision-making that he has with the basketball in his hands. He's being aggressive. Game by game, he's getting better at trusting his abilities when he's attacking the rim, learning to turn the corner and not bail, but continue to go at the rim, which is terrific. So Shaedon Sharpe has been nice. Tamani Kamara continues to get after it defensively, is aggressive. He put up a lot of shots against Dallas, finished the game with 14 points, and he also pulled down 9 rebounds and defensively was all over the place again. Matisse Thybulle, 9 points, like Kamara, a defensive energy guy for the Blazers. He played 36 minutes. Tamani got 32. And Wap Reef continues to play well for what they're asking him to do. He had 10 points in the game against Dallas. Anthony Simons, as he continues to make the comeback from thumb surgery, 30 points on 10 of 21 from the floor, 4 of 10 from downtown. He also dished out 8 assists and pulled down 5 rebounds. Off the bench, they got double figures from Scoot Henderson, who had 10 from Jabari Walker. Walker played 26 minutes, and Scoot Henderson with 30 minutes in that game. And my big concern with Scoot is the same today as it was when the Blazers drafted him, just his shooting percentage. You know, how's that going to come along? How will the shooting continue to develop? Will he be able to become a reliable three-point shooter? Those are questions I don't know the answer to. So that'd be my big concern with Scoot. But, you know, at least what we're seeing with Scoot is the game starting to slow down a bit. He still plays a little bit too fast, but that's to be expected. So he's making that adjustment on the fly. He also missed several games with the bone bruise. So he's so early in his NBA career that it's really hard to make any type of judgments. But I am concerned about the shooting. And that was a concern that people had, before he was drafted by the Blazers on draft night. So let's take a listen to Chauncey Billups. He was asked about the loss to Dallas. Here's what he had to say.
Came out and had a really tough first quarter. But I told our guys even before the game, I said, the way we're going to be kind of running around, you got to just hang in there. You got to hang in there. No matter what happens, we can always get back in the game. As hard as we play, we just got to be able to make some shots. That's what happened. They came out and Luka kind of got going, early on us, and then they had some shot making in the first quarter, but we stayed in there, and made it a game. And we could just never really get control, It was always, but we couldn't get control of the game, and we make a run. They'll bring Luka back in. He'll calm, the team down and get everybody the shots that they needed. But that's his greatness, All
right, there is Chauncey Billups. Now, I mentioned that Portland put up 53 threes in the game against Dallas. Aaron Fentress asked Chauncey about that number, 53, and whether that's more than what he would like his team to shoot. Here's what Coach had to say.
I don't think so. The way that they play, they just pack the paint on us. They pack the paint. We try to have a mentality of trying to attack the paint. But when you attack it and there's four guys there, kick it out, and we live with the results. We just couldn't make. We just couldn't make enough at least. But no, I don't mind that.
Well, I do. I think 53 might be pushing it a bit in terms of the number of threes that you want. So I was talking with Dwight about this, and what you're going to have to see Portland do in terms of an adjustment offensively through the movement of the basketball and the movement of bodies, working the ball around and moving bodies to where, one, you can get a better three, but more importantly, maybe with your movement, create openings to where you can attack the rim. The Blazers this year, we know what they're going to need to be able to compete and put themselves in a position to win games. Number one, they have to rebound as a team, and that's got to be a focus. They've got to rebound well. They have to continue to limit turnovers when possible because they're not good enough to overcome significant turnovers and easy buckets by opponents and be able to make up that deficit elsewhere. Portland with 15 turnovers in the game against Dallas. They were -5 in points off turnovers. It's not bad. They also have to defend. They have to be willing and committed to that end of the floor. They have to play with energy. They have to defend. They have to contest. And they have to continue to make life tough on their opponents. If they do that, they're going to put themselves in a position to compete in most games because, through a long NBA season, a lot of teams aren't prepared for that type of energy and effort. And the Blazers certainly have been able to do that this year with their commitment and their willingness to defend. And it also helps when you have longer, more athletic bodies who can actually defend. And we're seeing that from Matisse Thybulle, Tamani Kamara, DeAndre Ayton when he's been on the floor, which has been nice. And by the way, in regards to the injury report tonight, the Blazers will be without Jeremy Grant, who's in the concussion protocol. And right now, DeAndre Ayton listed as questionable with that right knee soreness. It would be nice to get him back in the lineup. But hopefully that offense will continue to develop where the Blazers won't settle, but with movement can open up better shots and loosen up the paint to where they can attack. Because teams are going to continue to try and pack the paint. So I want to see what the response will be from Chauncey Billups in terms of how he gets his guys in a better position to attack and score. Because the Blazers, we know this, their weakness is going to be offense throughout the year because they don't have a lot of guys who can shoot and shoot extremely well. Now, the advantage is with Anthony Simons back on the floor, he commands attention, and he's going to open things up for his teammates because he is a legit shooter, big-time scorer. And we saw that at times in the game against Dallas on Friday. So something to keep an eye on. One other thing, too, and I mentioned this with the Blazers and with Anthony Simons, he was asked about how he helps the offense, just being back on the floor. Here's what Ant had to say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously just, I can help out with the spacing a lot, drawing attention to the pick and roll and getting, 4 and 3, advantages on the backside. And so it just makes everything much easier for everybody else making those type of decisions. And then we just got to learn from that, continue to work on it, drill it, and then, I think we're going to get better at that as well.
All right, so it's great to see Ant back on the floor, playing with confidence, being effective on offense, handling the basketball, setting up his teammates, doing a heck of a job. Now, I mentioned the Blazers flying around and getting after it defensively. Matisse Thybulle currently ranked second in the NBA in deflections per 36 minutes, 5.3. And second, a tie in deflections per game, 3.5. Third in steal turnover ratio at 1.94, and fourth in total deflections, 73. Thybulle also ranks ninth in the NBA in steals per game at 1.6 and ninth in total steals, 33. He has recorded at least one steal in 11 consecutive games dating back to November 15th. So Matisse Thybulle, and look, he's had some questionable decision-making on offense with a couple of turnovers here and there, but you can't deny his willingness to defend, his smarts on that end of the floor, and his overall effort. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, again, going back to what we've talked about throughout the year, this is a rebuild for the Trailblazers. They're at the ground level right now trying to, get this franchise pointed in the direction they want. It's going to take some time. Joe Cronin's in a great position because he's got tools to be able to go out and continue to acquire young assets, either young players or picks. And Chauncey Billups has got a chance to mold these players into the players he wants, to get them to play the way he wants, to understand the type of basketball he's looking for, and we're seeing that. So I'm excited. I've enjoyed this season a lot so far. Even though they've only got 6 wins, I've enjoyed watching the development of the young players. I've enjoyed watching the guys willingly defend, and I applaud Chauncey for the work he and his staff have done to get these guys to compete this way and also, shuffle guys in and out of the lineup with the guys who have been nicked up in and out of the lineup. It's not easy to do, but Chauncey's getting the guys to respond, which is nice. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on game day. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. You can find me on X at Chad and Rip City. Also go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. And you can join in on the live stream and take part in the chat. Dominic the Donkey. Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. That's right. We're in the Christmas mood here on 620 Rip City Radio. When we come back, we'll step inside What's the Scoot and take a look at the Blazers rookie here on game day. All right, what's the Scoot? Let's talk a little bit about Scoot Henderson. And, I mean, you watch the games. What do you think about Scoot? My biggest concern about Scoot Henderson right now is the same that I had when he came in the league, and that's whether or not he's going to be able to improve the shooting percentage, especially from three-point range. I think he's still adjusting to the speed of the game and the windows and the angles and everything, so it's going to be tough for him. But, again, it's so early in his career, it's hard to make bold judgments. But the shooting is a concern. It was a concern by many coming out of the G League. Shot the three ball at less than 30%. That's a problem, and that's a number that's going to have to improve. I just don't know if you can survive as a guard in the NBA in today's world where you shoot the three ball less than 30%. And the reason why is how many true point guard John Stockton types do we see in the league? Point guards now are usually big-time scorers. And if he can't shoot and teams are backing off of him, then what's that going to look like as we continue on in the future? I don't know. That's tough. But Chauncey Billups was asked about Scoot in that game against Dallas, and we're going to take a listen to that. In the game, Scoot Henderson came off the bench. He got 30 minutes of action, 10 points, 3 assists, 4 of 17 from the field, 0 of 6 from downtown. Chauncey was asked about how he's continuing to play, coming off the bone bruise. Here's what he had to say.
With the exception of tonight, I thought he struggled tonight, all of it. I thought all of it tonight he struggled. Our youngins, our 2 rookies, well, shit, the 3. I thought Chris played pretty good, though. But I thought Scoot really struggled. Took a lot of shots that are just not the shots that we want. Thought defensively he struggled a little bit. He likes to pressure, but they was blowing by him, putting pressure on the back of our defense. He struggled there. I thought Tumani struggled as well. You know, he took a lot of shots that are just uncharacteristic of him. He's ISOing out there. It just was too much, you know. So those 2 dudes really struggled in this game today. But it happens. You know, these are pups, man. They're youngins. You know, how can you learn, you know, if you don't struggle? But other than today, Aaron, since Scoot's been back, I think Scoot he's been really good. With the exception of today, I thought his push, his pace, his defensive, you know, toughness, and he gets a tough rebound. He's been really good, you know, since he's gotten back. So we'll wash this one off in the shower for our young guys. You got to have a quick and short memory in this league, and we'll move on.
I mean, it's quite possible that Chauncey Billups could be the perfect coach for a young player like Scoot Henderson. He mentioned that except for the game on Friday against Dallas, he's looked good and has been effective since coming back from the bone bruise. But he was out of control against Dallas, playing almost hurried basketball. Didn't look real comfortable out there. Obviously didn't shoot the ball well. And that's okay. He's going to have nights like that. He'll have more nights like the one we saw on Friday where he's going to struggle. My biggest question is the offense. I was just talking to a guy today who played in the NBA, played guard, and he was talking about Scoot, and he goes, I was concerned about him when he came out because of the shooting numbers, but he was wondering, like, you know, is he Russell Westbrook? Can he be a guy that can use his athleticism and his ability in the open floor and his work off the bounce to attack the rim and put pressure on the defense that way? Can he develop that pull-up jumper from the elbow that Russ, you know, had command of for many years? Can he be that type of guy even if he doesn't develop the consistent three-point shot? You know, what type of player is he going to be? I think Scoot has admired Westbrook's game. So something to keep an eye on. But I think for Scoot Henderson, again, what I do like about him is the demeanor, the focus, his approach to the game, listening to coaches, his teammates, and being willing to put in the work and doing whatever's necessary to make things happen. Like, you're going to continue to need that from Scoot Henderson. He's got to continue to put in the time. And I guess we just have to be patient. You know, some players, they develop rapidly. And as soon as they hit the floor, you're like, wow. With Scoot Henderson, maybe it's just going to take a little bit more time. You know, let's see how things look 2 months from now or as we get towards the end of the season. My guess is he's going to look a lot better. I just have a lot of belief in a guy like Scoot because he's a terrific talent. He's got all the ability to be a point guard in the NBA. He's got the size, the explosion, and the ability. I just want to see it start to come together on offense. And then as he starts to slow down and starts to understand angles and windows, getting better at setting up his teammates, but also having a better understanding on attack angles, how to get to the rim, how to get to the free throw line, learning how to absorb contact and finish around the rim. And we've seen him struggle in that department. So he's got a lot of work to do. And the Blazers are going to be willing to work with him in many different ways. They've started him. Right now they're bringing him off the bench. Again, I think part of the issue, too, is when he's on the floor, he's playing with a lot of different guys. So there's a lot of changing variables for Scoot right now. He's just got to keep his head down and continue to play and play hard and continue to take all of it in stride. But the shooting percentage is rough. 4 of 17, 0 of 6 from downtown. And a lot of those shots that we've seen over the last week, wide open. And he's just unable to knock them down. But I do think it's a good sign that he's continuing to fire away. Like he's not backing away in fear or showing concern about the fact that he's shooting a low percentage. I think the aggressive mindset and wanting to continue to attack and stay after it is a good thing. And I want good things for him. I like his demeanor. I like the way he rolls. But I think having a guy like having a guy or a coach like Chauncey Billups who's played the same position, understands, what it's like to be a rookie and go through the struggles, I think it's helpful because he can, guide Scoot through that. He can continue to coach him, and they can use all different forms, game film, practice time, helping him learn how to study and understand what it is that he needs to work on, where the improvements need to be made so he can continue to make those strides. Anthony Simons, who is much farther along in his career, after the game was asked about his development as a point guard. It kind of ties into Scoot, so let's take a listen to Ant.
I've gotten so much better since, just emphasizing that during the summer. And, now it's more now I'm just out there thinking the game instead of just thinking about, the actual, coming off the pick and roll and just shooting the ball or passing the ball. I need to pass it. I'm just actually thinking about, when I'm coming off a screen, I see Tim Hardaway pulling off early. I need to dish it out early instead of getting too far in the paint. That's when they come and set a charge on me. That's what happened a couple of times. So, just out there just thinking the game way more than I usually would. Just thinking of counters. As soon as I do this, when I'm thinking about the next play, what I could do next, and then, it kind of worked out in certain situations for me. So most of the time I'm just thinking about, what I can do next to improve the other play.
I like him. I like watching him play. I like the way he carries himself. Anthony Simons is cool. And his offensive game, he's a guy that has a lot of comfort with his game right now. And you can just see the way he operates. He knows where he needs to be. He knows where his spots are. He knows how to get his shot up. He's a creative offensive player. And he's got a pretty good feel for his teammates. Anthony Simons is nice. And, he just now came back from injury. Wait until he gets into a groove when he really dials it up, with the shot and gets a feel for the range. He's going to put up some big numbers this year. He is going to put up some big numbers. He'll have some big-time scoring nights. And also, getting back into the fold and playing some big minutes over the last couple of games coming off injury, talked about how he's feeling.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Just kind of, not, I wouldn't say trying to ease into it, but kind of seeing what the team needs at the time, and I knew we needed a little bit of push. I tried to be extra aggressive. I was kind of trying to analyze in the first couple of minutes of the game how they were guarding me in each situation. Made a couple of bad decisions in that process, but I kind of learned quickly, and that's when I kind of maybe go into that little run, that stretch, and then after that, it was just, playing off of that.
There you go. Feels good, and he's been playing good basketball. Chauncey Billups was asked about Ant. Here's what he had to say.
Having him back it helps everything, and I think he's even been really good defensively as well to have him back scrapping out there. But just from an offensive standpoint, he just gets different coverages. Having him out there opens up a lot of, you talk about these 53 threes that we shot. Well, a lot of those come from them trapping and blitzing Ant, and then we getting shots on the weak side. So it just kind of sucked that when he came back, our other vets, that aren't playing, that are banged up. So one day we'll see what it looks like.
All right, so the Blazers going to take on the Clippers tonight. LA has won 3 straight games. They sit at 11-10, which is good for 9th in the Western Conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves continue to set the pace in the West at 17-4. They sit in the 1 hole right now, followed by the Thunder at 14-7. Mavericks sit at 13-8, and Denver, along with the Lakers, at 14-9 in the 4 and 5 hole. Sacramento 6th at 12-8, And you've got that group 7 to 10, Suns, Rockets, Clippers, and Pelicans. In the Eastern Conference, Boston atop the East at 16 and 5, Orlando and Milwaukee at 15 and 7, followed by Philadelphia, who is 14 and 7, Indiana and Cleveland, 7 through 10, Brooklyn, the New York Knicks, the Miami Heat, and the Hawks in 10th right now with a record of 9 and 12. Now, for the Portland Trailblazers, I mentioned it, but it's going to be a very busy week for the Trailblazers with 4 games. They're going to play tonight in LA against the Clippers, and then they're coming back home. They take on Utah Thursday, 7 o'clock tip at Moda. Saturday and Sunday, a home back-to-back against Dallas and Golden State. And both those games tip off at 6 o'clock. And the following week, the games on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday against Phoenix, Washington, and once again, the Golden State Warriors. So, tough games. Tough games. You know, the Blazers, this young squad, they're going through the refining fire right now. And I guess that's part of the reason why I'm impressed, because of the way they've competed and continue to get after it, especially on the defensive end. You know, it's hard as a coach, I think, sometimes to continue to preach certain things that you want to see from your team on both ends of the floor. And you expect them to go out there and execute a certain way. And I think when you're not having the success in terms of wins and losses, I think sometimes it can be difficult as a coach to get guys to respond. But you can tell that Chauncey's got their ear, and they're continuing to grind and get after it for him, which is nice. I would just like to see this team with all their bodies, Ayton, Ant, Brogdon. I would like to see this team for, 2 or 3 weeks with all their guys available to see what they could do and how they compete and how they continue to work together, but to be able to have an opportunity to develop some continuity. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on game day, and we'll come back and give you a scoreboard report and let you know what's going on around the association. Monday night football doubleheader just kicked off. I'll give you an update on those games. And hope you're enjoying your, what day is it? Monday? Hope you're enjoying your Monday evening out there, as we're now just a couple of weeks away from Christmas. Good time of the year right now. Blazers and Clippers coming up at 7:30. All right, checking your NBA scoreboard. Third quarter right now. In Charlotte, the Heat lead the Hornets 76-66. Jimmy Butler, 17 points and 6 assists. Third quarter in Detroit, Pacers on top of the Pistons, 86-78. Third quarter in Orlando, the Cavaliers with a 1-point lead on the Magic, 60-59. Darius Garland with 23 points. Third quarter in Philadelphia, the 76ers lead the Wizards 90-60. And Joel Embiid having a big night, 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Halftime in Atlanta, Nuggets on top of the Hawks, 65-62. Second quarter in New York, the Knicks lead the Raptors by a score of 63-55. First quarter nearing an end down in Houston, Spurs on top of the Rockets, 21-18. Into the first in Memphis, Mavs on top of the Grizzlies, 29-24. Into the first in Milwaukee, Bucks 37, Bulls 32. Pelicans in front of the Timberwolves in New Orleans, 25-23. And into the first in Oklahoma City, Thunder on top of the Jazz by a score of 34-20. Games later on tonight, 7 o'clock tip down in Sacramento, Kings and Nets. Sacramento favored by 4.5, and 7:30 tip in L.A. Your Trailblazers and the Clippers at L.A. favored by 13.5. Checking the NFL scoreboard right now. First quarter in Miami. Dolphins lead the Titans by a score of 7-0. That game's on ESPN. First quarter in New York, the Packers and Giants, they are scoreless. And that is your scoreboard report here on Blazers Game Day. All right, Curtis Long will have your Trailblazer pregame show, which is coming up at 6:30. Tip-off between the Blazers and Clippers at 7:30. You can find me on X at Chad and Rip City. Telephone number here on the show is 503-248-0620. All right, one other thing I wanted you to hear from Chauncey Billups. He was asked about, and this has been an issue for the Trailblazers so far this year, inconsistency in terms of opportunities at the free throw line. In the game against Dallas on Friday, they were 16 of 18 from the line. Dallas got 22 free throws, but a good question was asked by Danny Meringue. How do you gain the respect of the officials as a young team? Here's what Coach Billups had to say.
Oh, man, don't get me started, bro. It's Christmas time, man. I don't want to get none of my money away, man.
Charity time. Charity. You heard it said something in the day,
I got
right?
4 girls in my house, man. My wife and 3 daughters. I got to keep my money. I don't know how we gain it. I mean, to me, I feel like, I've always just had this defensive mindset even as a player, and I feel like when you're an aggressor, you most times get the favor, or at least they understand how you play, and everything is not a foul, And there's been several times that I've sat up here, and I didn't complain at all about the calls they called against us because we play aggressive, and we foul more than I like, but I know you can never really have one without the other. If you're going to be very aggressive, you're going to have to live with some fouls. So we're an aggressive team at the most times, but when we're attacking and doing the same thing, the inconsistency really bothers me. So I don't know. I don't know how you do that, but we're going to keep just plugging away, doing the best we can.
Well, one way you can do that is not put up 53 threes when the Dallas Mavericks are packing the paint. It is tough. Part of it is, having players that maybe the officials aren't as familiar with. So it requires some time and some work to be able to, make a name for yourself so the officials have respect for you and your game and what you can do. I think for guys like Tamani Kamara, who are young and earning a reputation as a good defender, he'll get the benefit of the doubt if he continues to work that way, like Thibault and some of these other guys. When you defend like that and you do it on a consistent basis, the officials will get the word, they'll understand, and they'll start to respect you as such, which is nice. And that's what you want them to do. In regards to how you approach each game, look, I've been talking about this for years. I understand the officiating's inconsistent. I realize it's going to be poor on most nights, so I try not to get too worked up. I just go into the game understanding that, and then I'm not stunned when it happens, right? And I encourage you all to do the same thing. But setting the tone early, I think, is always the best way. Coming out with a mindset that we're going to attack. We're going to attack the paint. We're going to attack the rim. We're going to get after it. And having that mindset and playing that way and being consistent and being the aggressor at the start, game in, game out, that sets the tone. The officials see that, they understand that, and you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. So I think it's how you attack starting games, how you approach the game, and just be consistent with that effort. And eventually the officials will take notice, and you'll get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to those type of areas. I just believe that that's the best way to do it. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to continue to attack. You've got to be aggressive, and you got to put, pressure on the officials to make sure that they understand. Hey, we're this type of team. This is what we're going to do. So, but it is a process, and it's probably frustrating for, Chauncey Billups to see the inconsistency. But think about the lineup they're putting out there. Young guys. Matisse Thybulle. He's respected by the officials as a good defender. He's been a part of multiple All-NBA defensive teams. Tamani Kamara is young, so the officials don't really know who he is. It's going to take time. Dwight Chad, same thing. Young player, not really well known. Shaden Sharp, second-year player. Now, he is showcasing what he can do, and with that type of play and the way he continues to approach it, he'll get the benefit of the doubt moving into the future. And Anthony Simons, I think, is known as one of the better scorers in the league. He's earned that respect. So he'll be in a position, if he attacks, to get to the free throw line. But Scoot Henderson, rookie. Jabari Walker, second-round pick in his second year. I mean, the guys that are playing right now are just young guys. So it takes time. But I think mindset, how you approach the games, and defensively, the good thing is for Portland here, like I mentioned before, they're a quarter of the way into the season. They're a top 10 defensive team. And so they're going to develop, if they continue to play like this, their reputation as a good defensive team. And I think at times the officials will give you the benefit of the doubt in those situations, which will be good for them. Just the way they compete. I know Chauncey, maybe wasn't happy in all aspects with the game against Dallas on Friday, but the biggest compliment I can give this team is, hey, they play hard. They do. The guys that are on the floor, they're getting a chance to play right now. They play hard. They don't make excuses with the injuries. They go out there and compete, and I respect that. It's fun to watch. Guys leaning on one another, guys competing for one another. The effort defensively as they continue to improve on that end of the floor, the communication, the way they're working, the individual sacrifice that we're seeing from guys like Tamani Kamara, Jabari Walker, and Matisse Thybulle. It's good basketball. And it's the way you want to play. No question about it. I also like the fact that they were able to get out and they were plus 11 in transition points. I want to see this team continue to run, and hopefully their defense will lead to more transition opportunities. One thing you can do if you're not a great three-point shooting team, and Portland certainly is not, but if you can get out in a position to run, your defense creates turnovers. That will lead to transition opportunities, and you get some easier buckets, right? I think it's a very good thing. And we're seeing some signs of that right now with this young Trailblazer team. In regards to the three-point shooting, the Blazers have improved a tad. They're 28th in the league right now in three-point shooting at 33.8%. So, not great. And that's going to continue to be an issue for them. They're number 10 right now on defensive rating. And in terms of offensive rating, it's pretty much the same thing that we're seeing with the three-point shooting. Dead last in the NBA in offensive rating. So 10th in defense, dead last in offense, and they're 28th in three-point shooting. And it's tough in the NBA when you have an issue scoring to go out there and compete. That's why the fact that they're in these games, I admire, and that's because of hustle, effort, and their willingness to defend. And I want that to continue. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30. Blazers game day. Chad doing with you. 4 games this week. Big game tonight in L.A. against the Clippers. They're going to see the Mavericks again real soon. The Warriors will be in town over the weekend. All right, tip-off at 7:30. It's game day. Here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
I guess just to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way, what's up with DA and Jeremy and Malcolm? Is there any updates on them?
Well, no.
Jeremy and Malcolm, is there any updates on them?
All right, let's check in with Blazers coach Chauncey Billups following practice. He starts out with an update on DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, and Jeremy Grant.
Well, no, they still all day-to-day, pretty much is the best that I can tell you. Not sure. Well, I know for sure Jeremy won't be playing tomorrow.
He's not going to make the trip.
No, Jeremy's not, but still day-to-day with the other two guys.
You ever lie awake at night dreaming about complete lineup, Ant, Jeremy?
Oh, man. I dream about it all the time, man, all the time. It's crazy.
Johnson, it's kind of an abstract question in the sense of, do you feel like in today's NBA you can be kind of a throwback point guard, an Andre Miller, Steve Nash without taking pull-up threes all the time? Just kind of, is that paradigm still a thing that exists that can kind of break a defense with dribble drive and penetration and playmaking?
I think so. I don't know if y'all watched the game yesterday, the Laker game, but like even a guy like TJ, you know, he has an impact every time he's on the floor. And he's not a three-point shooter, but he's a playmaker. He's scrappy on D. Like, he's disruptive defensively and he's disruptive offensively because of his pace, and he gets into the paint and they got shooters around, so he's kicking it out, and he's a consummate, like, pure point guard. And I still think that there's a lane for those guys in today's game because now the game is so spread out that getting to that paint, people instincts will kick in defensively when you get to the paint and people's going to be running towards the ball. And it just creates so many opportunities. So, yeah, I definitely think that there's a need for guys like that.
Ultimately, is that, if you have a really good guard who can do that, is that ultimately more efficient anyway? Because when you have the high volume shooting three-point point guards, you have those nights when they're 3 of 15 and you
Sure. Well, I think so. And you want that guy to also, be able to finish at the basket, to be able to, keep the defense honest, make a shot here or there, but mid-range, be able to shoot those. Like the other night, like Dallas, the way Dallas played us, we got off 50-something threes, 53 threes, but the defense was just all in the paint the whole time. So I'm stressing, get to the paint. Well, there's 4 guys there. So you still, they force you into certain situations most times.
But if you had Grant and Malcolm,
then I would love for them to sit in the paint. You know what I mean? Give me 53 threes then. You got Malcolm, Ant, and Shea, and Grant, and Jeremy, and let me shoot 53 then and see what happens.
I know you were at the game yesterday watching the remix, and the last couple of games with Jeremy out, you started using Chris more. Have you noticed kind of what having played consistently in the G League has done for him as far as his confidence and just his readiness to actually play for you? You
said the main thing. His confidence has changed. You look at him in training camp and you look at him now when I have to throw him in there. His confidence is just totally different because he's getting those actual minutes of play in the G League. And, as you can see how their games are, man, they play physical, they play fast. It's a tough league, So it I think, gives you the confidence to, one, understand how to play, and then what's necessary when you get back, to the varsity team, if you will,
You said the other night that 20 shots was too many for Tumani, but do you feel like, other than that, you're usually okay with the shots he takes because he gives you so much defensively and he's growing as he's taking the shots that he is taking?
I am. I mean, that was pretty much an outlier, but anybody that gives you that much defensively and everywhere else, and his motor, and he does everything right, you're going to live with a lot of those things, a lot of those situations. And again, I'm never going to allow to not shoot open shots. It's just about time and score when. If there's a time where he gets the ball on the wing and you got Shaden in this corner and and up top, he got to be the best next action guy in the league. The Draymond, the PJ Tuckers and things. He's got to be going to get Shea a shot, go get Anna a shot, as opposed to his kick out three, if that makes sense. So that takes time to develop and understand when, this the score, why, Shea been rolling, or Ant hasn't had a shot, or, we checked him in the game. Ant was on a heater a little bit. We checked him back in the game, and there was a couple opportunities for him to go get Ant a shot. And that's just something that, as we teach him and as I'm teaching him to understand and know, I'm in here to make these other dudes so much better. Oh, but by the way, I'm gonna be able to eat too, because they're gonna forget about me. Right. So it just takes time. But man, no, I love the way that two has been playing.
Shea had a tough stretch where he was shooting 34%, 27 on threes over 5 or 6 games, and then he picked it back up again. Was there anything? He said he just got back in the lab and worked on the shot, but was there anything else that went on in that change, or it's just structure of basketball?
Tired, worn down. I was playing the kid so much, man, and he just was worn down, and then you get Malcolm back, and all of a sudden he's shooting easier and better shots. You get Ant back, all of a sudden it's different. You get the normal, regular Shea again. That was just, to me, a byproduct of just how much I had to play him.
There's Coach Billups. All right, Blazers and Clippers coming up tonight. I know a lot of you are frustrated with Billups, but again, I'll say it. If you're going to criticize guys and call them out when they do things you don't like, then I think you have to be willing to step back and acknowledge when things are going well. And there are some good things that are coming out of this team that's 6-15. Defense, they're 10th in the league in defense. For me, didn't even think that was a possibility. I thought they were going to continue to be hot garbage on defense. That has not been the case. And so I have to applaud that he's getting them to defend the way he wants. 10th in defense. And we're a quarter of the way into the season. Never occurred to me that was a possibility this year. But he's got them defending the way he wants. I think the young players developing, Shaden Sharp, Tamani Kamara, and we're seeing some signs, some brief signs of life from Scoot Henderson. You got to give him credit for that. Now, I think the offensive structure, how they'll continue to adapt to the way teams are defending them by packing the paint right now. Can he find some different actions, with player movement and ball movement to create some creases where guys can attack? Can he help them learn how to create better shots? That's going to be the big question. And we'll see. We'll see with time. But the way they're competing, that's another thing too. Just having a coach where guys listen and he can get them to play hard, that tells me a lot about the coach too. So we're seeing some good things. But we're early, and we got a long way to go. I'm just a big believer that I don't really think you can look at the first 2 years of Coach Billups and make any bold judgments because the roster was a mess. The team went into tank mode to improve draft position. So I don't take those 2 years too seriously. I'm using this year as kind of the starting point for Chauncey through development of young players, through the way that they're playing basketball, the way they're competing, and then we'll get a better feel for it. The Blazers are in a good position anyways. They don't have to rush on a decision with the coach. They don't have to rush to move anyone out. They don't have to make any quick decisions on Anthony Simons. They can sit back and wait. They're in a good position right now where they have time and they've got some flexibility with some of the assets they have now where they can kind of, plot and plan their course as they move forward. And that's a good place to be. It's a very good place to be. All right. You can hit me up at Chad Rip City on X. If you want to jump on board, I'm fine with that too. 503-248-0620. And find us on YouTube, youtube.com. The homepage is Rip City Radio 620. All right, 503-248-0620. We'll come back. And when we do, we'll give you the Coors Light cold hard facts here on Game Day. All right, time for your Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. Take a listen to this. Chauncey Billups was asked after the game on Friday if he's okay with the team putting up 53 threes.
I don't think so. The way that they play, they just pack the paint on us. You know, they pack the paint. We try to have a mentality of trying to attack the paint. But when you attack it and there's 4 guys there, kick it out, and we live with the results. You know, we just couldn't make. You know, we just couldn't make enough at least. But no, I don't mind that.
Well, I do. I don't think 53 threes is the answer. The Blazers need to get more creative with their offense by moving bodies, moving the basketball, and opening up creases in the defense to where they can attack. As we pointed out, they're the worst offensive team in the league. They're 28th in the NBA at 33.8% from downtown. They should not be jacking up 53 threes. Get creative, continue to coach and teach, and put these guys in a better position to get better looks and being in attack mode. That's going to be the next evolution, the next direction for this coaching staff and for this team to continue this process of development. They have to do it that way, okay? So, no, we do not want 53 threes. It stands to reason that if you're not a good three-point shooting team, and they aren't, that you might want to look for other ways to score. Your answer cannot be, well, they packed the paint with 4 guys, so we have to live with the result. No, you've got to find other ways to use movement to create openings in the defense to where you can put your guys in a position to attack. That is going to be critical. Also, don't buy into the hype that the NBA pulled off a special moment with their in-season tournament. Ethan Strauss put together a terrific piece today in regards to the NBA in-season tournament. The goal of the tournament was to find a way to increase viewership of early season NBA games before Christmas. Adam Silver, the commissioner right now, is trying to find ways to increase interest in the early season games because he's working on generating more revenue. With the new TV deal coming, he's also looking for ways to possibly stream the in-season tournament games. He's looking for revenue streams. And so he's trying to package up the in-season tournament to be something bigger and better than what it actually is. Now, could it work long-term? Possibly. But don't let the headlines fool you. If the number one goal was to increase viewers, the in-season tournament this year did not get the job done. Ethan Strauss had a terrific piece on this when talking about the ultimate goal, which was to increase viewers. And in regards to the in-season tournament, he said the result, a number that looks like the regular season, or at least not far off from it, after Turner combined 4 channels, TNT, TBS, True TV, and Max. For context, the NBA playoffs first round opening games averaged 4.15 million last postseason, and those games were all on one channel. The numbers in the tournament semis, Pacers and Bucks on ESPN averaging 1.6 million. Pelicans and Lakers, TNT plus TBS and True TV averaged 2.174 million. And as Strauss writes, so even in the in-season tournament elimination games, they got received by sports fans like a regular season affair. And yes, we're basing success on viewership because that was the whole point of the tournament, even if nobody quite says it out loud. When you bring up this aspect up in the sports media space, you're likely to get hit with a defensive speech from a fellow media member about how the basketball was good. Therefore, other responses include the assertion that more basketball is good if you like basketball. All that might be compelling to people who already, as NBA fans, but this was about bringing in the casuals, and they were not brought in. So the truth is the in-season tournament did not accomplish the ultimate goal of increasing viewership of these early season NBA games. I also think that the NBA did a horrible job of explaining in their campaign launch what this in-season tournament was about. Because the biggest issue I see, and I talk to sports fans all the time, and I have people that call me up wanting to know, about this or that or whatever. They don't know what it's about. What's this in-season tournament? They don't know. And if you don't know and you don't understand, then if you don't know why you should care, what's the big deal? And as we pointed out, it doesn't have an impact on who's going to win the championship. It doesn't have an impact on anything outside of just a regular season game and what that means in the standings. And people don't care about LeBron James earning an extra $500,000 prize check. Why would they? He's already a billionaire. So LeBron gets another $500,000. Good for him. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the NBA, they gave us new Coke. The NBA season, the way it was set up, the journey, the marathon to get to the second season, and then go to another marathon to determine an NBA champion, it was a perfect setup. They didn't need to adjust or add anything in. Just like Coke did not need to deliver new Coke to the masses. We didn't ask for it. We didn't want it. And when we got it, we're like, this is terrible. We're just going to go back to the classic. So I don't know if this will continue or how it's going to work long term, but in the first season, it did not accomplish the mission of trying to increase viewership. And my guess is because the games have no real impact on who's going to win a championship, it's going to continue to be like that. People will watch it like they watch a regular season game, meaning the basketball heads, the people that care about basketball, will watch the games, but the fringe fans or the casuals, they're just going to continue about their business like they always do in the months of October, November, and December. And then once football season's over, people will tune in and really start to pay attention to the NBA just like they always have. That would be my rough guess. In one other note, I would like to give props to Tamani Kamara. He is going to be a very good rotational player, possibly a starter for years to come in the NBA. His length is unique. His wingspan is wicked, and he plays with his hair on fire. When you work that hard and you do that much work in practice and you pay attention to detail and do what the coaches want, they're going to find a way to get you in games. And Tamani Kamara right now, I just love watching him play because he's willing to sacrifice and to play his tail off and do whatever it takes for his team. I wish there were more players like him in the NBA. Watch him tonight, watch him in every game moving forward, and just take notice of how many guys on the opposing team he annoys. I love that type of player. Guys who annoy the other team are valuable. They're willing to defend. They're willing to scrap. They get up in a guy's grill. They're relentless. They're like a gnat. And it drives other players crazy, especially big-time stars who are not used to someone showing that much resistance. And I want to see more of that. So I'm excited. So to recap, we don't need the Blazers putting up 53 threes in a game. You got to come up with unique ways to move bodies and move the basketball to create openings to where they can attack. The NBA in-season tournament failed to accomplish its mission in the unveiling of the tournament. They did not increase viewership compared to any other regular season games. And that was the goal, to bring in some of the casuals. And Tamani Kamara is going to continue to work his way into being a terrific rotational player, potentially a starter in the NBA for quite some time. It's great. It's great. I cannot believe LeBron James popped champagne after they won the in-season tournament. And I cannot believe the NBA is going to force the Lakers to raise a banner. Are you kidding me, Commissioner Silver? The reason why you raise a banner and the reason why it has so much significance is because a championship means something. It's important. The Blazers have one. We have one banner hanging up at Moda Center for the 77 championship. And we've been dying ever since, hoping and waiting for the team to put another championship team out there on the floor. Championships are something that are magical. It requires great work from the players and the organization. There's a journey and a process that you go through to win a championship. It's a grind. Anything in life that has value, you really have to go out there and earn. And you put a lot of time and attention and detail into it to accomplish the mission. And that's why at the end, you get a trophy and then you get a banner you get to raise up to honor that team forever because of what that championship means. The Lakers are one of the proudest franchises in all of sports. And their main competition is with the Boston Celtics because Jeannie Buss wants the Lakers to have more championships than anyone. That's how the Yankees define their success. The Lakers should not be raising a banner for an in-season tournament. That means nothing because that's not what the Lakers were built on. That's not what they're about. They're about showtime and winning championships and excellence. It's crazy. Can you imagine the Yankees? They're going to start hanging banners? Like, what if they had some type of in-season tournament for baseball? You're going to have the Yankees start raising banners that mean nothing too? I don't know. It's just too much. What I don't like, If you want to have an in-season tournament, that's fine. Do it. It's a way for players to earn a little extra check, have some fun, play basketball. We get a chance to see some cool-looking courts or whatever. That's fine. But please don't go through great extremes to tell me how great it is. Anytime someone tells me over and over and over again how great something is and how I can just tell by the way in which they work to convince me of that it's not true. So there you go. Again, for me, as a sports fan, I can only define it for me. The reason why an in-season tournament doesn't mean anything to me is because there's nothing at stake, right? It doesn't have any bearing on who's going to win the championship. Zero. Zilch. Nada. They're just regular season games. There's got to be some type of, carrot or great meaning or sacrifice involved in obtaining it. And then I'll tune in with interest. Now, it's part of why the NFL is so great, right? Because every single game matters. You lose a game and you could be in dire straits. A 2-game, back-to-back games you lose and you're screwed. You lose 3 or 4 in a row and your season could be over. 82 games in the regular season? I don't know. I think they're trying too hard. Sometimes you don't have to fix anything. You don't have to adjust anything. You just go with what you got. What I love about the NBA is the long season leading up to the playoffs, which is a grind. It's grueling. When you make it through the first round, the semifinals, the conference finals, and then the NBA finals, and if you get through that journey to where you're able to put up 16 more wins and play potentially 28 more games, almost half of an NBA season to win a championship, like that to me is something special. So there you go. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that I think the NBA, no matter who won the NBA in-season tournament, the NBA was probably going to force them to raise a banner to create this idea that the in-season tournament's a big deal. I don't like that. We, the fans, will determine what's a big deal. Don't try to force something down our throats like that. Like new Coke. I didn't ask for that. And what are you doing, Coke? Why are you giving us this? And why is this dude Max Headroom talking to me about it? We didn't ask for that. All right, let's keep things rolling here on the show. When we come back, we still got to get to our keys to the game. And we'll do that before the end of the show. Curtis Long standing by. He'll have your Trailblazer pregame show coming up at 6:30. All right, the bad news for Portland tonight, the Clippers are healthy and playing good basketball. They've won 3 straight. I mean, the reality is when the Blazers take the floor tonight, they're going to be overmatched like they are most nights right now. So what do? How do you win a game or put yourself in a position to win a game like this? Well, number one, you got to protect the basketball. Now, I understand the Blazers are trying to move and play with a little bit of pace and be aggressive, but you got to cut down on the live ball turnovers. So tonight against the Clippers, ball security is going to be important. And it's a challenge for this team, but you got to cut down on the live ball turnovers. That's number one. Number two, Portland's going to have to do a good job of rebounding as a team. When they rebound well and can control the ball, they can control the tempo and do the things the way that they want to do. And then after that, team effort defensively. They've got to get after it and be willing to fight, scratch, and claw because the Clippers can throw a variety of different players at you. I mean, in reality, and this is classic Clipper basketball right here, they're a disaster of a franchise, and they have been for most of my life. And they're in L.A. They're going to get a new arena. No one cares about the Clippers. No one. Ballmer would have been better off moving them to a different town so they wouldn't be underneath the shadow of the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Trojans, and everybody else in town. But they're the Clippers. The Clippers, well, they're a lot like the Chargers. In L.A., no one cares. So the weird part is when you look at the roster, this is one of the deepest, most talented rosters in the NBA, and yet here they are just kind of moseying along at 11 and 10. But talent-wise, they're one of the best. So the Blazers are going to have to compete and get after it. The painted area is going to be tough. If Ayton doesn't play and he's questionable, I'm hoping he plays tonight. But the Clippers are going to be able to get to their spots and get a lot of shots that they want. So for the Blazers, limit turnovers, rebound well, and then make sure that you compete defensively and make Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and the rest of their group, really have to earn everything they get on the floor. That's really what it comes down to. Now, as I mentioned before, for me, I'm not worried about wins and losses this year because I understand what the Blazers are trying to do right now with this rebuild. So it's not about winning or losing a game. What I want, just like we've gotten throughout most of the games this year, play hard, show resistance, and put yourself within striking distance in the fourth quarter and then see what you can do. And what I'm hoping with this, great level of play that we've seen lately from Shaedon Sharpe, don't be afraid to get him more involved in the fourth quarter, late in games, to be more aggressive. In fact, I saw this number at blazersedge.com. Shaedon Sharpe right now, 19.3% usage rate in the fourth quarter. 22.5% overall. And I think for the Blazers right now, with the way he's playing, they need to get him more involved. Shaedon right now averaging 25, 7, and 5 over his last 3 games. And you can make an argument that he's the best option on the team. I think it's Ant, but they need to get, Sharpe more involved. One thing I'm learning about Sharpe, and I'm sure you've noticed this too, he's still developing and learning, but the guy's really good. I mean, that's been one of the big takeaways. Probably the most pleasant surprise that I've seen from the team this year, as I mentioned, is their willingness to defend, and they're doing a great job of defending. But I got to be honest with you, like just seeing the way that Shaedon Sharpe is coming along, like what I see with, the way it was explained to me, and one of his teammates described it this way, that he doesn't even know how good he is yet. Like he's not aware. He doesn't understand how good of a player he is and his type of abilities. So as it comes into focus for him, he's only going to continue to skyrocket. But you got to love the body. He's got the size. He's got the strength. He's got the natural shooting touch. Pretty good feel for the game. I like him when he's got the ball in his hands late in games. I like the way that his teammates show trust in him. I really think that the sky's the limit for Shaedon. I think most of you know that too. But, man, watching him play has been fun. I mean, he's kind of calm. He doesn't look stressed out there. And he's got that very easy demeanor about him. But he has really come along well. And it's really amazing because there were moments in the preseason where I was watching him play. I'm like, what's he doing? He looked and appeared to be a little bit lost. But once he got the opportunity to jump in the starting lineup with the injury to Anthony, he's been dynamite. And he's had some nights where he hasn't shot the ball well. He's had some bad turnover nights, but that's okay. Chauncey admitted that he was overloading his plate. But he just continues to work. I'm down with Shaden a lot. Big time. Big time. And we'll see how things continue to develop with Scoop. But Shaden Sharp, I mean, this guy, whew. Looking back at it now with the way he was able to play down the stretch last year, he got a chance. Remember, Chauncey had talked about that at the end of last year when they were in tank mode. He was on the floor, and they were letting him facilitate and handle the rock because he wanted to put him in a position to where he would have to go up against another team, deal with their coverages, and how he would be approached knowing that he was the best player on the floor for the Blazers. And so that experience, going into the offseason, into camp, and now he's back on the floor and he's had a chance to start and play big minutes so far this year, it's ramped up his development. And that's why I'm a big fan of continuing to play Scoot. Shaden Sharp has gotten better because of the opportunities to play. It took Ant a long time to really come into his own, but he didn't get a chance to play early on. That's why I'm a big fan of continuing to put Scoot on the floor and let him play and develop to get him in those situations. So I think we have a lot to be excited about. It's fun. All this is fun to watch. But Shaden Sharp's been really good. And that game he had against Dallas was, it's great. 31 minutes, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. That's the other thing that's been impressive, too, is the way he's peppering the stat sheet. I mean, he's doing a lot of different things, even on nights where he hasn't made shots, and he certainly did, connecting on 7 of 15 from the floor, 5 of 10 from downtown, but he's impacting the game in other ways. And that's what good players do. So I like to see that. Oh, the other thing, too, I know that we all love Toumani Camara, but can we please stop comparing him to Scottie Pippen? Scottie Pippen is one of the greatest players of all time. I don't care if Toumani reminds you of Scottie. Don't compare him to Scottie. Let's let Toumani develop a little bit before we start attaching greatness to his name. He reminds me of Scottie. Really? One of the greatest two-way players of all time? That's who he reminds you of? I'm going to need to see a little bit more before I can start lobbing those type of names on him. Out of respect to Toumani, I'm not going to say he reminds me of Scottie Pippen. No one reminds me of Scottie. No one. Because I haven't seen a guy that plays the power forward spot that can defend all 5 spots on the floor, shoot the ball, run the floor, and do all the things he did. And even when he came to Portland, Scottie Pippen was still a pimp. And he was awesome. Scottie Pippen was terrific. Not a bad running mate for MJ. All right, that is pretty much going to do it for us. So here's what we got coming up. The Blazers, they're going to take on the Clippers. Tip-off at 7:30. Curtis Long, the principal, has got your pregame show on the Trailblazer Radio Network coming up next. And then after the game, I'll be back for the 5th quarter. So enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see how things play out. It should be a good game. I love this type of competition because the Clippers roster is loaded. So it's going to give some of the youngsters for the Blazers a chance to get out there and compete against some of the best players in the NBA. So I'm going to have fun watching that. And no update yet on DeAndre Ayton and whether or not he'll play. He's questionable with the right knee soreness. All right, for Michael Shacker, I'm Chad Doing. Enjoy the game tonight. I'll talk to you in the 5th quarter.